I'm here with Gino.
Hey, Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player. Feeling like Pac. Represent. On my block. Try to knock me down, but I come up on top. Yeah, they wanna see me flop. Got a plot, want a lot. I won't stop on my pops. Got so many flows, it's insane. They don't really understand the game. Got a plan and it's plain, I ain't playing. I'm just trying to gain. I wanna get that big bag, need that big Rex. Blow up Tic Tac with a blue cheese at. I don't give a fuck about your feedback. Eat that, get back, sit back, watch me spit that kickback. Got so many flows, yeah, they think that I'm insane. Ghetto kids in a lot of pain, all about the bills, ain't shit changed. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game, I'm a player. If you a hater, I don't hate you. I'm just really happy that I ain't you. I just wanna thank you. You kept me motivated, so now I motivate you. There's a lot of cake, money on my mind like a banker. Coming through with them bangers, ain't no room for mistakes. Lot of stake, hustle till we get a lot of rooms, lot of stakes. Good kid, but I keep it gangsta. All gas, no brakes. Got cash for the case. More cash in the case. More cash in the safe. More cash on the way. Hustling all day. Ay. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player.
Danger, coming with them bangers. Where my fucking paper.
Said I'm taking big shots, just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, but I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, but I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. They been trying to get me cheap like a thrift shop, but I told them it's my time, check the wristwatch. They been talking way before they even doing something. Whoa. If they wanna play, let's get a tip off. Ain't no silver lining, dawg, this some rose gold. Getting new money, I'm a old soul. Yeah, I get it bouncing like a pogo. Whoa. And I'm too cold like Frozone. And my chick elastic, girl. Told them we ain't in the faking, this ain't plastic, girl. Bought a new whip and cash, now my tax is thorough. Way I'm shooting like step with my passes, bro. The way I'm playing the field, I'm in a league of my own. And now they all in their fields, I got them all on my phone. But dog, I'm hitting the climb, I got no time on the low. Way I'm shooting is messy, the way I'm hitting the goals. I'm taking big shots, just stop. Way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, but I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, but I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. I just left, but you know I'm coming back though. Whoa. And you know I don't play by my rags though. Now go and turn it up to the max, whoa. Send a paper to me now like a fax, whoa. Yeah. Got 2 phones ringing off the hook now. When I'm in the city, I get looks now. I was going bad, but I'm good now. Said I had to go and put my foot down. Told him I'ma get it and go. Even in the summer, man, they knowing I'm cold. I got a couple checks coming that I made out the flows. Might get a couple more popping if I do it some more. I gotta do it for real. Said I'm back in my bag. All my digits are climbing just like they all on a dash. And he told me slow down cause dog I'm moving too fast. Might go and caught me a Tesla cause dog I still got a gas. Said I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, but I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, but I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, but I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, but I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, but I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, but I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, man, we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream. Bitcoin currently holding above the value area low, pushing into the POC for the third time here, guys. We tried to break above earlier today. Are we going to get the continuation up towards around $70,000 where we have our next key level of resistance? And what is coming next here for Bitcoin, guys? I'm going to talk about the next key levels that I'm looking at, the current trades that we're sitting in right now, and my overall thought process on where we think Bitcoin's going next. We're currently holding above that value area low, which is the biggest level on the chart here, guys. Currently haven't lost it, right? So if we could hold that right, potentially we can see that bigger move to the upside, but we are slamming our head on that POC. Will it break? Will we get the hard rejection? We'll cover it all on today's live stream. Shout out to Two's Crew, shouting out Lucy in the chat. Shout out to Lucy. She's sleeping right now. I probably just woke her up by screaming here on the live stream. But we'll see. Maybe we'll bring her up on, maybe, you know, I think we might, I might make some content with Lucy. We're going to see if a dog can become a profitable trader. I'm going to figure out a way to make her decide one or the other, and then we're just going to long or short and see if she could be profitable. We'll have good risk management for her, guys. We got to, you know, she can't do it. So we're going to have to give her some kind of risk management strategy. But we'll see. Can a dog make money? I don't know. Hey, with good enough risk management, potentially. But shout out to the Mafia. Thank you, guys, for being here. Let's see. We got Indian Martini in the chat. Said, send it to $5, Frankie. I believe you can do it. Let's do it. Let's send it down to $5 here. Let's load up the shorts. Everybody enter a short right now, and we'll send it down to $5. Oh, we got Crypto Crimson in the chat. Welcome in, brother. Trading like crazy these days. Shout out to Crimson. Let's get it, buddy. Welcome in. We got George in the chat. Said, I may need your help. At this point, I'm gambling. Shout out to George. Well, you're in the right place, brother. Maybe when we set up Lucy with some risk management, we'll dish out some of that sauce to you as well, brother. But let's see. Yo, shout out to Dave. Dave Kevin says, Frankie, I'm your biggest fangirl. Shout out to Dave. It sounds like Dave Kevin. You might be a guy. I don't know. Shout out to Dave. But let's see. We got Two's Crews in the chat. Said, what is the lyric in that song? Pedal to the metal, no pit stops. He said no piss stops, which both technically make sense. Every time I go on a road trip with Mrs. Candles, we got to stop every 7 minutes for her to pee. It's quite frustrating. But anyway, shout out to C-Dub in the chat. Welcome in. We got Nick Dunn, Vitrol in the chat. Said short is already in profit. Let's go. We're going to talk about that in just a second here, guys. But without further ado, shout out to Ben's Breakout. Said, hey, how you doing on that water intake, Frankie? Need your water for our sauce. Yeah, shout out to Ben's Breakouts. I was actually just talking to somebody about, I went to Ben down to pick up the puppy, and I got dizzy. And I was like, oh, my God, what's going on? Something's happening here. And Mrs. Candles was like, did you drink water today? And I'm like, I mean, technically there's water in black coffee, right? That's how it works. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts and try to figure out where Bitcoin is going next. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Here we go. All right, so here we are, guys. Bitcoin currently holding above our major key level of support. We got the value area low / golden pocket here tapped with bullish divergences. As you guys know, I am holding a long position here. I think I did log into Femex here for a second. I could try to pull it up. Where is it? I think this is it. Nope, that's one of my shorts from higher. Hang on. There it is. Up about 2K right now. Just sitting here, guys, waiting for this to potentially play out a little bit more. Also in a scalp short here as well. I hate this estimated P&L thing. It always gets in my way. But yeah, so that's a long position here. I have been holding this for a little while as we did get the push into the value area low with those bullish divergences. And we all know, guys, over the medium term here, this is the biggest level on the chart. We waited for this for quite some time. We got the full rotation from the high into the value area. Could not break out here for the rotation back down to the low. Had the short setups up here in the premium. I personally didn't take them because I was holding, well, one of the shorts I just pulled up was one of the shorts I'm holding from higher. But as we have now gotten that full rotation to the low, where do we look for longs, guys? We look for longs at that value area low. And even last week, we got that local push in here with local confirmations. Was suspicious of another sweep down here to put in those medium time frame bullish divergences. So now we have those medium time frame bull divs into the value area low golden pocket. Of course, we are going to be looking for longs down there based off the volume profile theory and, of course, the entry confirmations. And we have now gone from the low to the PLC, back down to low, back to the PLC, back to the low, back to the PLC. Just a complete and total chop fest here. But nice to see that first major target inside the value area, guys, when we take these trades, right? You know, the hope here, we do have local targets I'll talk about in just a second. But, of course, right, the first major target within the profile is always going to be when you're in a long, right, going from the value area low into that PLC. So technically a TP1 tapped here. And then right now, right, we are tapping against very, very important resistance here. We tried to get the breakout, but just wound up ending up in an SFP here, getting the sweep with the candle closure back down below. And we are now currently rejecting that point of control. I'm going to bring up the bigger range as well because there is important levels underneath us. But at the end of the day, guys, if we're able to get above this point of control, I'm going to try to keep it nice and simple today. If we are obviously holding the scalp short here right now, but if we are eventually able to break above this point of control, the next major area I'm going to be looking at is sitting around this weekly naked point of control, almost at $70,000. Now, we do have some confluence here. If we pull our Fibonacci retracement from that last short setup in the premium from the high down to the low, you can see we do have the golden pocket 786 Fibonacci retracement here. Whoops. See if I can draw a box here. There we go. We got the golden pocket, the 786, and the weekly MPOC. And on top of that, one more thing that we were looking at was the anchored VWAP from the... Wrong anchored VWAP. Anchored VWAP from the high here, sitting in perfect confluence, right? So, you know, if we do wind up getting the move above that POC, the next stop is, in my opinion, going to be, we'll take a look at money flow as well, guys, of course. Money flow has been a little bit choppy recently, but if we are finally able to get above this point of control, right, the next major stop at this point, I do think this anchored VWAP will be very confluent with that golden pocket. This sits between about 69,239 and assuming that anchored VWAP comes into the golden pocket, up to about 69,472. Now, the overall zone comes up to the 786 at around 70,380, call it 70,400. But we are going to have a little bit of confluence here, golden pocket, anchored VWAP, and then, of course, you will have that weekly MPOC and 786 Fibonacci retracement. So that is going to be the next major retracement zone, because if we are not going to get, like we've been talking about, right, like this is the major level to hold. Once we get up here, of course, for me personally, guys, as long as you remain inside this range, I'm just simply going to trade this as a volume profile, looking for shorts at the highs, of course, longs at the lows, the trade that I just showed you. And then, I mean, obviously scalps within the local price action. But for the major moves here, I am pretty much going to be trading this as a range. It is not until we're able to break out of this volume profile and flip $72,000 into support where I will be entertaining a potentially bigger breakout towards that $80,000 zone. Now, of course, right, holding the value area low is very important. We talked about this level forever, right? Underneath us, we don't really have much. Of course, we have covered the daily MPLC 786 down here, but I am looking at that as much more of a local level. And when I pull up the macro range here in a second, you guys will kind of see what I'm talking about. So you do have the 786 daily MPLC, but for me personally, as I've been talking about, I really do prefer to hold that golden pocket. If we do end up getting a bigger breakdown of this range, that's kind of the last place where I would be looking for scalp. We have some other scalps we're looking at as well. But this is really the only other technical level that I can see on the chart. And in my opinion, once we lose the value area low, it's going to be looking a little bit more bearish in my opinion. And the reason for that is because when we come up to the higher time frames, of course, we have been looking at that 10-hour money flow coming to the downside, looking like we might want to cross back over into the green. It is a little bit choppy here, but overall, this money flow is trending to the downside. So in my opinion, once we lose that value area low, I would have to anticipate that this money flow is clean in the red. And it is going to look much better, in my opinion, for a more bearish situation to play out, right? A bigger drop down. This is the last level, last line in the sand, sitting between about 63,858 and 63,277. Simply put, guys, do I have super high confidence in this level? Not really. In my opinion, once we lose this, we'll get a little scalp there. Probably going to end up in some kind of lackluster retracement for lower highs and lower lows. Again, based off the money flow coming out here. Money flow indicates the longer term trend, right? Not the ebbs and flows, not the little downs, ups, downs, ups. The money flow indicates the overall trend. So we got to see a hold inside this range, a flip of the POC, and in my opinion, I'm not really going to get excited until we can start to pop above $72,000. That's going to be kind of the first major sign of strength, in my opinion. And yeah, once we lose that value area low, because of the money flow, being very specific here, right? Because of the money flow, I have to anticipate any bounces here are going to be lackluster for lower highs and lower lows. And honestly, until proven otherwise, that is kind of my bias here, right? Just kind of trading it as a range. But if we are going to continue to put in highs, lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, I do think that this confluence up here between, again, 69.3 and call it 70,400, this would be, where are we going to be looking for those lower highs and lower lows? It's going to be inside those golden pocket 786 retracement zones. And it's just very simply going to be the next major level of resistance. It'll also keep you down below that anchored VWAP, very cleanly continuing the trend, right? So this is going to be kind of that next opportunity for a rejection, in my opinion. This is my biggest area of interest for that rejection. And then, of course, I am holding the scalp as well. So if this does end up being a lower high and we come down locally, well, hey, I'll have another short from here. But overall, biggest level to the upside, sitting right here. Biggest level to the downside, still, in my opinion, remains the value area low. We come down here, scalp it. And then, in my opinion, probably a higher chance of a breakdown below 60K. Now, when I bring up our higher time frame range here, let me go ahead and hide this. I'll even hide the MPOCs and all that stuff as well. When we pull up our larger macro range here, guys, the confluence here on the golden pocket 786 is also on the value area high of this range. And when I say, right, when I mention that this 786 is really the last line in the sand, lose that 786, there's just literally nothing underneath us. And again, I'm not even really putting a ton of weight on that 786. It's always going to be a place where I'm interested in scalps, meaning, hey, little bounce, make some money, jump in, grab your bag, jump out for a rollover. But other than this 786, guys, there's nothing underneath us, right? Or I should say 786 daily MPLC, right? But underneath that, there is literally nothing, right? And at that point, you're going to be rejecting the POC, which gives you the bias of, hey, deviation above the high, back into the range, can't break out. Even if you get the retracement here, can't break out of the high. Once you're below that point of control, money flow is coming out. You lose that last 786. The next likely place for price to go is the value area low of the range, which sits at about $59,800, which is why we talk about if you can't hold that 786, that is where I'll be looking for the very high probability move down below 60K. I personally prefer this move, right? And when we look at, I personally prefer this, of course, because when we take a look at those higher time frames, as we've covered literally 100 times, this would give us an opportunity to put in some nice bullish divergences into our next big level of support, sitting at the monthly and weekly MPOC, as well as that weekly horizontal level. The next real area of significant support, right? If I take the range off the chart here, right? We're holding the weekly right now. Of course, we're long from that level. But once we break down there, right, there's not a lot of horizontal high time frame support, right? There's just like nothing underneath us until down here. And if we get those 4 and 5 day bullish divergences, right, I will be then once again interested in potential bounces from this major level. And as you guys know, when I am looking for trades, I like to find those high confluence areas, right? And again, this is already tapped, right? So this doesn't really even count. Sure, it could continue to hold up. But underneath us, right, there's 0 weekly levels, there's 0 daily levels, there's 0 monthly levels until down here. Right, the only thing we have is this kind of daily MPOC 786, which is why I call that the line in the sand, right? Again, sure, we can get a reaction off that level, but this is not going to be as important, in my opinion, or as strong as these high time frame confluences down here. So for, again, short-term moves, sure, that's support. Maybe I'll take a day trade there, a little scalp. But for like the long-term moves, I know a lot of people are here for just kind of the long-term moves. Money flow coming out, it would not be shocking to me. Once we lose this, there's just nothing underneath you until down here, right? So that's why I prefer, just to kind of explain why I prefer, if we lose that support, to get that breakdown below 60K. It's just simply because we don't have anything underneath us, right? It's not just because I think that would be bearish because it makes me feel bearish because price is dumping. It's just simply based off the charts and the key levels. So that's what I'm waiting for. I will give you guys kind of the, let me just recap those levels so you guys can mark them off on your chart. Again, not my favorite level, but definitely an area I'm interested. I wouldn't even say I'm really interested in it, but, kind of that last level, line in the sand, would be right here. Is it impossible to hold this? No. Of course, there is a possibility that you hold this, but again, when we speak from a probability standpoint, I think once we lose this value area low, right, it's just looking more bearish in my opinion, right? We're getting rejected out of value. High time frame money flow is coming out. 10-hour money flow is coming out, right? That would just, once we lose that, if that money flow is still in the red, I don't expect this to hold up long term. I expect it to give you the continuation of that trend, right? Money flow indicates the overall trend. Doesn't mean you can't make money off this little bounce, right? But you have to view it through that lens. If it winds up shocking us and we do catch a scalp down there, well, beautiful. We'll let that continue to pay us out. So that is what I'm looking at, right? So last line in the sand, 63,850, same levels from yesterday, to 63,300. And then to the upside, we're looking at $69,230 all the way up to about $70,426. Break the POC. This is my next major area of interest. I might even take a scalp there in case we do come down to flip that POC and fill the range in full. Right? For this long position, I'm simply treating this as a volume profile trade. Right? I will be interested in rejections here. If we do end up getting the pullback, right, I'm going to be careful around that POC in case we do want to fill this in full. And then up here, potential short opportunities again, right? Maybe we get the breakout above 72K. I don't know what price is going to look like up here, but these are the next major areas of interest, in my opinion. Right here. Whoops. Right here. And I won't even say it's an area of interest, but last line in the sand right here. That's my overall thought process. High time frame money flow coming out. And I will zoom into the lower time frames. I'm going to come check in on chat in just a second. But then we'll come back here and I'll take a look at like the hyper local levels because as you guys can see here, we are starting to form a little bit of a range. Let's see. Shout out to Chikan. Shout out to you, brother. Says, I don't like how everyone turned into a bear in this range. I will remain bullish until the sentiment will switch. For now, I'm looking for higher at least sideways. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right, long from the low. So, for me personally, right, I said this yesterday. People always ask me, are you a bear or a bull, right? It really depends on the context of the question, right? For me personally, right, I'm in a long from here, right? So, I would like right now at least a push up here. Like I kind of expect my scalp short here to get stopped out. And then the long will just continue to pay me. I at least prefer a move up here, right? From like a, flip the POC. I think the higher probability is to at least move into this resistance. And then of course, right, this would be an area where I'll probably be locking profits in on the long and then potentially taking another scalp short. And then eventually, guys, this range is going to break at some point. Now, we compare it to this range, right? This range was absolutely brutal. We were able to make a ton of money in this range from a trading perspective, right? Like this is beautiful, right? Longs from the lows, shorts from the highs. And then we were able to hold a portion of that short. I think that was part of the short that I showed you here, right? I already have profits locked in on this. I still got $10,600 unrealized here, right? So I am holding a lot of shorts from higher, have profits locked in. Those are guaranteed winning trades. But this is going to break one way or the other. And I just hope that we don't wind up sitting in here for like another month. It's going to be absolutely brutal. Now, one thing that we want to pay attention to here, guys, is the monthly close. If we could close the monthly candle above, I would say about 68K, get above this POC, right? If we can get above this point of control and start closing up here, I'd feel a little bit better about the rotation. We'll see what happens at that point, right? We'll get that nice monthly close, and then maybe we can start to get a little bit of a bigger pump for April. The one thing here is just this high time frame money flow, right? This is why it's hard for me to say am I bear or bull. I just don't care, right? Like if we get the shocking rip and we get above 72K and we see the move, it's always an if this then that statement to me. There's no reason, right? We're holding above the value area low. You know, this technically keeps the continuation of the, you know, technical uptrend here, the market structure. So that is nice, right? But if I don't think, right, if I see signs that we're not going to be able to get the breakout there, I'm going to want to catch that short and ride it down. You know, I've been somewhat neutral within this range, and people say, well, if you're just neutral, how do you make money, right? Well, we just trade that volume profile, baby. Shorts at the highs, longs at the lows, right? And then whatever way this breaks, if we wind up getting the break below 60K, again, I prefer this not from necessarily a probability perspective. You could say money flow is coming out, so, you know, maybe a little bit of a higher probability of a move down. But I would still, as long as we remain inside this range, we're holding support, right? So, like, at the end of the day, right, the rotation through the profile could still technically be looked at the higher probability perspective or higher probability outcome. But we're just in a really choppy range here. That's just the end of the day. Sometimes you're not going to have a really clear view on what happens, so you want to just position yourself correctly, right? Longs from the lows, shorts from much higher. If we get the breakdown below 60K, beautiful. I'm going to make a ton more money on those shorts that I've already cashed in on. If we get the push up, well, beautiful. I'll have a short long from the bottom. Right, so I don't really care which way this goes. The only reason I prefer the drop down from a personal perspective is because I think if we do put in that new low, it's going to be a little bit easier for me to come up here and be like, all right, now we have nice high time frame confirmation on the chart to say that this looks like a nice strong bottom now. Right here, we don't really have any of those high time frame confirmations. We kind of just bottomed out on capitulation. So for me, it's just all about positioning myself correctly, and at this point, just kind of in a cushy position. It would break up, break down. We're make money. Mafia makes money whether the price goes up or down, and in this case, like literally, does not matter what happens. So there you go. But yeah, I totally feel that, right? Like once the masses start to think like, oh my God, it's super bearish, right? And just a little update on my high time frame kind of thought process here, guys. I do not think, right? I think a lot of people are going to be late to the party here as far as, you know, thinking the bear market is just beginning. The bear market is not just beginning here, right? And I'll cover this for 30 seconds. Bear market started up here. We have been in a bear market, right? Anyone saying the bear market is starting here is very likely going to end up late to the party, right? It's the same thing we talk about in 2021 or 2022 rather, right? Sure, right? You could go lower. But at this point, looking at all the indicators that we looked at yesterday, the weekly oversold RSI, the money flow on the weekly, everything points more towards an accumulation zone, right? So from that perspective, I guess you could say I'm more bullish. Sure, you could expect a new low. It's whatever. But from a long-term perspective, I am more in the camp of looking for a bottom to form down here. I am not just starting to get bearish here. Unfortunately, the charts made me bearish on this retest where everybody hated me. No way. Bull market's just starting. I don't know. Charts aren't pointing towards that. And, of course, I'm always going to make my decisions based off the charts. But, yeah, I think anyone who's thinking the bear market is starting here, at the end of the day, even if we do go much lower, right, like the bear market did not start here, right? The bear market started all the way up here. We've been in a bear market for quite some time. I think a lot of people don't have that perspective, but I've been through multiple bull and bear markets, right? Everyone's bullish here for the higher low. Everyone's bullish here for the higher low. And, of course, as a trader, you know, more often than not, we are contrarian to the masses, right? Bitcoin's more fundamentally bullish than ever. Like, that's not how markets move, right? So, you know, looking for lower here, we get it. Looking for lower here, we get it. You know, not that a higher low, not that this was wrong, right? This is a higher low, but not all, you know, higher lows only work until they break, right? You have the low, the higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. But eventually, you're going to have that higher low turn into a lower high and a change in trend, which is exactly what we had here. And we explained this live on the stream. Not to say, oh, my God, I'm right all the time, which is obviously not true. But We're right more often than not because we understand how to look at the charts. How could you know that this higher low should not be treated as a higher low for a massive higher high? Well, you had every single high time frame indicator pointing towards a continuation of the trend to the downside. You had all the technical confirmations up here. So it was just very clear from a technical perspective that this was very likely not to be a higher low, which is why we took that short at 98K. I'm still holding a portion of that, right? So, I'm trying to get you guys psychologically prepared. If we do put another low in, I would have to guess it's probably going to be on some kind of super scary narrative, which, again, oftentimes comes in at the lows, right? FTX going down, Luna collapsing, oh, my God, right? This is where you want to start entertaining the idea of a potential accumulation zone starting. So, let's see. Shout out to Flea says, what is that? Fleagle? Says, I was $3 away from passing my bit-funded second stage, and I didn't protect my profits and lost $44. Then I FOMO'd, and now down 200 total on stage 2. Shout out to Flea, brother. It happens, right? Don't be too hard on yourself. But dang, man, that's rough. Shout out to Software, I think is what that says. Says, what's the chance it rejects directly from 68K? And if so, what are the targets? I mean, I'm going to put, so let me pull up the local time frames here for you guys real quick. So we do have obviously a little bit of a local range forming here. We have a little bit of resistance here. And obviously, how do I make this simple, right? Like medium time frame, you're holding above the low. At this point, right, next target is the PLC. We tapped it. And I even said to the premium Discord earlier today, come on, Bitcoin. We tapped it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Come on, the next one we got to break through. And it just ends in an SFP, right? So we're just in chop here, right? This is just the reality of trading. Sometimes you get a kind of choppy market environment. Not that it stops you from making money, but I would say this is local resistance, right? The POC is your first major take profit when you're long from the low. Usually TP1 here, flip the POC. That's where you can start to look for the bigger move up towards the high. Now, don't forget you do have that local resistance. But, I mean, this is, I'm scalp short from this level. I'm not telling you too short Bitcoin right now, right? This is not a signal. This is not financial advice, but I am in a scalp short here. But I am also kind of cushily positioned. Is that a real word? If this winds up stopping out, right, my long just continues to pay me out, covering the loss plus profit. So it's a nice position to be in. I just kind of wanted to hedge that long a little bit. And, you're at local resistance. We got the SFP. We did sweep a little liquidity up here. Now, one thing I will take a look at with you guys right now is the liquidity. We do have, let me just reload this, make sure it's current. Come on. We do have still have a bit of liquidity sitting up here, so we kind of swept it out here above the highs. We do still have a decent amount of liquidity up here. So, in my opinion, this is a pretty clear trade. If we get up here and we start popping the high, right, I want to get out of that trade. We're probably going to squeeze out that liquidity and, again, get that move up towards 70K, which is already kind of the anticipation if we're able to flip above that POC. I am viewing this this short as a scalp, right? I'm not, if it winds up turning into more and we melt down, right, I'll take profit along the way, and then if it winds up getting a bigger breakdown, I'll just add that to my, list of other shorts that I'm already holding for much higher. But if we get out, right, it's kind of a clear invalidation. If we sweep above these highs, you have that visible liquidity sitting above you, and, what do we know about liquidity? Once you push into those liquidations, once you get stopped, once those shorts start to get stopped out and liquidated, it creates those market buys, giving you that short squeeze, right? That's what a short squeeze is. That's why you usually see a short squeeze give you a big pump to the upside. That's why that happens. And you can see that liquidity is sitting up here, leading you into that $70,000 zone. So, I took the short. If I get stopped out, just understand, right? I'm not really going to care that much, right? I'll lose the trade. I'll take a little bit of a loss on it. But my long is going to continue to play from lower for that overall plan, right? So, like right now, this long, again, my plan here, I'm not telling you to long Bitcoin either, right? My long is from much lower here. Technically, I'm holding it from here, right? But get above the PLC. Next anticipated place for price to go is to work its way towards that point of control, right? I will be analyzing price as we push into the golden pocket 786. But of course, right, maybe I'll take a little bit more profit off the table in case we get the lower high. But within the profile, right, value area low, PLC is the next likely place for price to go. Boom, we got it. Once we get above there, we can start to look to shuffle up towards 70,000. And then once we get above there, right, value area high. So what are the chances of the rejection here? Let's take a look at money flow. 2-hour money flow. It's coming up, right? We got the VWAPs rolling over. Again, one of the things for this short position is if we are going to get a little bit of a cool-off here, right? You got the 2-hour VWAP coming down. You got the 1-hour VWAP coming down. You got the 45-minute red dot looking to print. So if we get that 45-minute red dot and we're able to get the 3-minute money flow to cross over into the red, we could get a little bit of a local trend to the downside, right? Get that trade in profit, lock in some money there. And then even if this higher time frame money flow, 1 hour, 2-hour money flow wants to cross green, I'll be looking at that for a potential higher low. And then, eventually I would really like to flip this PLC and see the bigger move up. And then, my main rejection zone will be up here, right? This is looked at as a scalp. If I stop out, I just don't care. It's a smaller trade. And then also, right, you could also argue here, yeah, I mean, you got to risk it for the biscuit. Of course, not getting wrecked, right? The key here is if I get stopped out here, I'm not going to lose my entire account. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking at, bearish divergences, maybe, I don't really like to look at that. 2-hour, maybe a little bear div. But yeah, money flow doesn't look super bad here. At the end of the day, as long as you remain above that value area low, we could just bing bong around here, which is why I wanted to bring up these local levels with you. Because for the scalp, pull up the local range here, right? There's really nothing else to look at here unless I'm looking at the value area. The reason I took this is because we got the SFP of the high, deviate above the value area high, you get the SFP, you get back into the range. We came back up here to retest. Come on. Our local Fibonacci retracement, right? If we can't get out of this value area high, we could look for POC and then back down towards the value area low. And, I don't know. If we come back down here, maybe you can rotate that range again. We'll have to see what price looks like. I don't love that we've tested this support so many times. But yeah, it's really just a local hedge. So my plan for this, right, will be potential rotation back down to the low, right? POC will be a main target. So you asked for the targets. I would say if we cannot get outside this value area and start sweeping that liquidity to higher prices, well, next major target would be 67,375 POC. Get below that. Next would be the value area low at about $66,559. And if I stop out, well, beautiful. I simply look at the larger range and I say, let's head up towards that 70K golden pocket, right? 69.5 golden pocket. Shout out to Vision says volume in crypto is horrible. Yeah, it's, clearly, right? Like this is, I guess you have some volatility. But yeah, this is typical bear market behavior. Right? Just super low interest. Like nobody really cares about crypto right now, which again is kind of from a high time frame perspective when you want to start paying attention, right? They kind of scare everybody. Everyone's hopeful, really freak everybody out. Everyone's like, all right, this is a scam. I'm out. Anyone left just gets bored out of the market, right? This is kind of where you want to pay attention, in my opinion. Shout out to Jordan, says, I love your analysis. If you add Elliott wave theory with it, it will be perfect. Yeah, shout out to Jordan. Actually, I always say, people always ask me, why don't you look at moving averages? Why don't you look at this? Why don't you look at that? At the end of the day, right, you can only look at so much stuff. I always say, if you have a moving average at a specific level, oh my God, this is a major moving average. Typically, I'll have weekly MPOCs, a value area low, whatever I look at. Typically, those levels will be confluent. So it's not like you're going to miss out on anything. But I always say the one thing that I really want to start incorporating is Elliott waves because they will help you a lot with like long-term moves. Hasn't really been a problem in my career. But I do think that's like one of the things that I think would really add some extra sauce to the Frankie Candles analysis. Let's see. Shout out to Quiet. SP says, managing my risk so much better and managing my trades by hedging from the local value area high and value area low. Thank you, Frankie, for the sauce. We'll always appreciate you. Shout out to Quiet SP. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Does your name mean Quiet Single Prince? bear market has a long way to go. Yeah, we'll see. Remember this, right? Everybody wants up or down. I just take 2022 for example, because this is like the closest thing we can relate to. Everybody wants to know, like, is the bottom in, right? Or are we going lower, right? Sometimes you just kind of go sideways. Like, sure, we take the low again, but, this also takes a lot of time, right? I won't take that capitulative candle into play. We'll take it, like, to this. I mean, 8 months of pretty much sideways price action. This takes time, right? So, like, it's not often where in a bear market I'm looking for something like this. Not that it's impossible, but like in a bear market, I'm very rarely looking for something like this. Like, oh my God, the bottom's in. Let's go to new all-time highs immediately. Oftentimes, the accumulation zones can take a bit of time, right? Which, maybe, right? Like everyone's kind of fighting over, I think, where that exact low is going to be. That's why I look at this as a zone, right? Dollar cost average. DCA is the way, in my opinion. I'd like to use a weighted dollar cost average, but could take some time. If you go off the traditional 4-year cycle, you would look for like a bottom around in October. Again, has the timing of the 4-year cycle been like pinpoint accurate? Pretty much has, right? Like the top came in 1,421 days. After the previous top, right? Back here, it was 1,428 days. So typically these are pretty close. Even back here, 1,477 days from top to top. So these are very, very close. Even the bottoms, right? 364 days, 378 days. If you kind of like just take an average of that, right, you would expect a bottom around October of 2026. Again, do I think that's likely going to end up in like something like this, right? Probably not. In my opinion, if I see signs on the chart when we start losing key support, maybe we'll start looking for those lower targets. But, it could just be kind of super boring price action, right? Again, these aren't accurate to 51K has to be the bottom. But, it could be, we could go sideways for quite some time. A lot of people don't really look at that as an option, right? People say up or down, right? Like, what about sideways? Oftentimes, price range, and as a matter of fact, right, price ranges more often than anything else, right? Typically, price ranges around 80% of the time, and then the rest of the moves are kind of just trends or impulses, right? And just to kind of show that, just take a look at the daily candles here. I'll just you could do the math, right? You have 72 days of sideways price action, and then the capitulation takes 6 days, right? 7 days, a week, right? And then you have, let's say we break out or break down from like, around now. It's 53 days of sideways price action. If we impulse, right, it's probably going to be much more short-lived, right? So price ranges more often than it doesn't. So that does also take up some time. So we'll see what happens, right? Nobody, at the end of the day, everybody's making their best guess. We make our best guesses off actual data on the charts. That's why we're right way more than we're wrong. But yeah, we have the 3-month candle close tonight. Could you take a look at the money flow? 3-month money, we actually looked at this yesterday. 3-month money flow is not going to be any different than it was yesterday. This obviously moves much slower on the 3-month time frame. Where's it at? All right, so 3-month money flow. I have to pull it up on the Bitstamp chart. All right, we don't even have money flow on the 3-month chart, right? There's just not enough information. Right? Are we starting to print money flow? Not yet, right? So there's no money flow here on the 3-month. But yeah, I'm going to watch this monthly candle closure. I would like to see this close above $68,000, above that POC of the range. Does that guarantee that we're going to get a massive move up? Not necessarily, but that would be nice to get the close above that POC, right? Because then we can start to continue to look for flip the POC, take out that liquidity, and head towards 70K. I think the thumbnail says 70K next, question mark. That's my thought process. Get above the POC and hold, right? Next major stop for me would be between about $69,500 and $70,000. And maybe we can get the money flow, right? Get that 2-hour money flow to continue up, right? If you're looking at it from this perspective, any pullback would be looked at as lackluster, higher lows and higher highs. POC is the area where the most volume was traded, and a lot of times this can act as like a magnet, right? Sometimes you can chop around that POC for quite some time. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. Shout out to V-Troll said, how reliable is the strat to build longs at the value area low, shorts at the value area high, TP1 at the POC, and once we impulse out, you hit stop loss and let the other trades run? I'm in that situation most of the time. So I don't have an actual like numerical statistic for you. But for example, right, in this previous range, you know, you don't have to have, right? This is a common misconception, right? There's no strategy or TA. And then, like, this is always hard for me, right? Because, like, oftentimes when you look at the value areas, they look like they're just, like, 100% every single time. It's obviously not the case. There's nothing that's 100% accurate. But it's the theory behind it, right? You know, and you have to have the overall context in mind, right? My overall high time frame weekly view on Bitcoin at this point inside this range was that your weekly money flow was coming out, right? Major things we looked at, right? High time frame bearish divergences on the weekly, the 2 week, and the monthly. These are the same exact bearish confirmations we saw at the top in 2021. The exact same stuff, right? On top of that, you had your high time frame daily money flow coming to the downside, indicating a continuation of the trend. And then that big bear market confirmation signal is the weekly money flow, right? So once we get that big capitulation down, right, 108K was where we started to entertain the idea that 126K was probably the top. This is where I sold a lot of my Bitcoin, most of my Bitcoin. And it was based on, like, these timeframes cascade, right? We saw the 2-day money flow coming out, indicating a big drop and a continuation of the 2-day trend. Once you see that 2-day money flow crossover, you have to understand timing of the cycles, high timeframe bearish confirmations. There's a reason to be looking for a top up here. And once you get that big move down, right, we start to consolidate here. Everyone gets, you know, hopeful, higher low, higher high, you know, 100K, 150K incoming, right? Whatever the numerical number was. But of course, this was the lower probability scenario. Once that weekly money flow starts coming out, especially once you get the first capitulation, consolidation, right? At this point, when I look at this money flow trending out, remember, money flow indicates the overall trend. And on a weekly time frame, every time, 100% hit rate on this, right? So far. Anytime you get that weekly money flow crossover into the red, the top is in and you're about to capitulate into the bear market, right? Even from a fractal perspective, it was almost identical to the previous cycle in 2022, right? So once I see this money flow not only crossing into the red, but once I see this money flow really starting to tank out here, my bias has to be for lackluster retracements, lower highs, and lower lows to continue the overall, and let me hide some of this local TA, right? Money flow analysis here would say, hey, money flow is tanking to the downside, and you could get that early signal again on the lower time frame money flow. 2-day money flow was coming out all the way up here. That's why we were able to get that early indication, right, with the bearish divergences. Once you see that, right, hey, big drop very likely incoming, 2-day trend's going to continue down. Once you get that big capitulation, we come up to the weekly, money flow is coming out. This looks like a bear market continuation to me. At that point, sure, we have taken longs within this range, long to 85K, right, rode that up. But on this push to the upside, remember, the weekly thought process is lower highs, lower lows. So what do? We look to take those shorts at the highs. And of course, like I said, having the overall long-term bias is very important, right? If I wasn't paying attention to the weekly, maybe I would have thought this was going to rip us up to 200K, right? But we knew it wasn't going to very likely because of that weekly money flow. So what do we do here? Sure, I take the long from 85K to above the value area, right? For the simple reason of deviate below the low, look to rotate the profile in full, deviate above. This is where I'm looking for shorts. Once I take that short, get back into the range and come down to the low, number one, I'm looking to be greedy with the shorts in a bear market, right? Which at this point you've accepted, right? Or we've accepted. Not down here, up here, right? And seeing it incoming up here. But once that happens, right, I take the short position and I say to myself, hey, locally, I can view this as a short from the value area high. The local plan for that trade is to see a high probability rotation back below the high, down to the PLC, and eventually down to the low. Once I get down to the low, what is weekly money flow doing? It is literally crossing into the red. At this point, there is a higher chance, right? Of course, we look for the longs at the lows, shorts at the highs. But if I'm looking for this range to break up into new all-time highs or capitulate down for a continuation of the downtrend, high time frame money flow is going to indicate that. A lot of people tell me, I love the volume profiles. I'm trading the heck out of them. I'm catching the longs. I'm catching the shorts. But how do I know when that winner is going to run? Like I just showed one of them, 2 trades that I'm holding here, but one of them, this one, nope, that's the long. This one, right? Still have $10,000 unrealized, right? The reason I look to hold that for a continuation was because of that high time frame money flow. This indicates continuation of the overall trend, right? So I'm going to be greedy with that short. I'm going to take profits along the way, right? But I'm expecting this to very likely turn into a winner. A runner, right? This trade is much more likely to turn into a massive swing trade because the trend continuation pattern or trend continuation probability is down, right? So when money flow looks like this, greedy with the shorts, conservative with the longs. Very simple, right? Made a bunch of money on the long, but I wasn't looking to hold that to 250K because I knew this was very likely going to be a lower high and a lower low. So I take the short too, right? That was very likely to ride down to much lower prices, right? And then, of course, we had the massive low volume gap here, which was literally called perfectly. Once we lost those lows, that's where we expected the fast capitulation, literally exactly where it happened. I'll just show this for anybody new to the channel here. Right? Massive volume gap. There's nothing but air underneath you, right? There's just no significant levels holding you up once you break below this gap, right? Once we lose those lows, next place for price to likely go is the next high volume node. So we know we held it. Once you break in here, fast move down, very likely, right? Which is another reason why I felt confident in holding that trade. So I don't have a statistical probability for you, but very often I'll catch the long at the low, short at the high, and then based on the high time frame money flow, I may be a little bit more greedy with either the short or the long, depending on, what the situation is, right? If I were to be, for example, let's say I took a long within this profile, which if I had to guess, we probably did. I don't remember back this far. But let's say I long the value area low. I'm looking for it to go to the POC and then the value area high. Look at this weekly money flow. At this point, I'm looking to hold that as a runner, right? What price is this? 30K? I'm looking to hold that for a runner, right? This is much more likely to break to the upside than the downside because your money flow is literally doing the opposite. It's very repeatable, right? This is why trading is awesome because once you have a strategy that clicks for you, this is going to be repeatable time and time again. Doesn't matter if we're trading at 30K, 100K, 200K, 500K, 300K, 80K, doesn't matter. As long as you can identify these ranges and understand what to look for to catch the trades, you'll have the high probability, and you can even see here, value area low, this is cheap, looking for longs. To the POC, to the high. Could be looking for shorts here within the range, right? But you're probably not going to be super greedy with this because you understand you've already just gone through a bear market. Weekly money flow is already faking out into the green, or not faking out, crossing over into the green, right? So like chances are any other time this has happened on the chart, the bottom is in, right? And then just locally here, it's like if you catch the local long here, sure, you could be careful. Maybe you get a shocking, the indicators can fake out. Maybe it gets a rejection, but the higher probability is for the longer term continuation to the upside. So in that case, I'd be greedy with the long, conservative with the shorts. I can make money on that short, right? Why would I not make the money here? Even if I was if I was super bullish here, I would still take that short. This is where a lot of people get confused. Why are you in a short? Bitcoin's super bullish. Of course, I agree, right? But I'm still going to make a bunch of money here. And then once I catch the long, then I'll just be super greedy with that long. Does that make sense? So I'm oftentimes in those situations. I'm actually currently in one of those situations right now holding the short from 98K. Hopefully that helps you out. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to Jets. Says, remember how y'all felt when we were at 100K plus wishing we bought more? At 80K or 70K, well, we're here now. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't think this will never change, right? I mentioned this yesterday, right? That like meme, right? It's like there's like a sign, Bitcoin at 15K, right? Nobody's in line. Bitcoin at 107K, the line's out the door, right? It's just psychological. No one wants to buy it. Because what is usually happening when Bitcoin is low, right? There's terrible narratives, right? Oh, my God, this is terrible. It's going to zero. This is a scam. FTX is collapsing. Regulation. Oh, my God, right? Anytime I've ever bought a low. Guys, when I bought the bottom here, it did not feel good, right? I was buying against all these bearish narratives, right? And it didn't feel good, right? Just because I understand the charts and I know the probability is that this is going to be a good accumulation zone, it's still emotional. Like you can't delete those emotions, right? You can learn how to control them. You can learn how to be disciplined in your trading, but it never feels good, right? It's always like, oh my God, FTX just collapsed and I'm going to buy Bitcoin. Kind of feels crazy. But anytime I've gotten really good entries into a cycle, right, it's never felt good, right? Think about back here, right, 2020. The whole world is falling apart, right? Anyone buying down here would look like a psychopath until it played out, right? So there you go. Hey, shout out to Jesse. Thank you for the super chat, brother. He says, I'm just because I assume there's a typo there, but I'm late doesn't mean you didn't all had to forget to hit the like button. I'm not even reading. I'm just like paraphrasing this chat. I don't know why. Y'all better drop 100 push-ups. Shout out to Jesse. Welcome in. Don't forget to smash that like button, guys. The easiest and freest way to support the live stream. Shout out to Jesse. Welcome in, brother. Shout out to V-Troll said, thanks for clearing things up and throwing sauce. Shout out to you, brother. Of course, that's what we do here on the Frank Kettles live stream. If you are losing money trading, I'm going to do everything in my power to stop you from doing that, or at least give you the education you need. Shout out to Jordan said, you're one of the most professional analysts on YouTube. Hats off, brother. Shout out to Jordan. I appreciate that, bro. I approach trading like a business, right? Like, I always see people like, no, it's like once you see the emotions being involved, it's just, are you bearish or bullish, right? It's like, well, like, let me give you the actual answer based off probabilities, right? All the Bitcoin has to go to 30K. You're an idiot. Yeah, it's going to 250K. You're an idiot, right? Like that is for the birds. Miss me with that. I am here to make money based off data, right? And probabilities, right? It's all math. There's no room for emotion, especially in trading, right? If you've been trading for any amount of time, you maybe get lucky once in a while getting emotional and FOMOing into a long position. Oh, my God, we're pumping, right? How many people are going to long now? Oh, my God, we're pumping, let me long, right? Even if it continues up, most people are going to get crushed by their emotions there. Where, this is why I always talk about this stuff. If I miss a trade, I talk about it, right? I don't just ever come up here and I only show winners. I show losses all the time. It's because that's the reality of trading, right? Like if someone's trying to get you into trading and they're telling you you're never going to lose, they're setting you up for failure. I'm here to help you make money. If I can do it, you can do it, right? We try to simplify it as much as possible. Within Chop, it's kind of difficult. But if I miss a trade, right, it is very simple. I trade a plan. And this is so important if you want to actually make money trading. If you want to jump on the charts and gamble, that's totally fine, right? I'm not your dad. You could do that, right? And, sometimes you'll hit it big, but, if you want to turn trading into a full-time job, if you want to quit your job, you don't even need to gamble for the life-changing money, right? If you make $200 a day, that is going to replace most people's 9-to-5s. So if you set those realistic expectations, if you want the freedom that trading offers you, you don't need to make 5K a day, 2K a day, 10K a day, whatever it is, whatever the lofty goal that you think you need to do or achieve to, reach, what you think trading is going to offer you, which eventually you'll wind up making more money. But, if you just approach it with a realistic mindset, like you don't need that much money, right? You could find these setups on the chart time and time again, doesn't matter what price Bitcoin's at, $200 a day can replace your full-time job. You don't have to listen to a boss. No one can tell you what to do, right? You don't have customers. You can just jump in there and make your money. I was talking to someone about this recently. It's like I love trading because it's like I don't have to do anything I don't want to do because I'm not tied to anything, right? It's like I could just jump on the charts and make money, right? That's why you guys see like we don't do like a lot of like ad reads on this live stream because like we have tons of people that want to do sponsorships and stuff. But if I don't really connect with it, if I don't think it's a tool that the Mafia can use to make money, like I'm not really forced to take those deals, right? Because I have an infinite skill here to find high probabilities trade setups to make money on my computer, right? Now, certain things we will promote it, right? But you don't never see me say like, and now a commercial break, right? Because like if I don't think it's a really good product, I don't really have to, I don't have to force it, right? And that's beautiful. As a normal person, right? I obviously have the YouTube channel, the Discord, so I'm working all the time. But if I did not have this, right, I would be able to do whatever I wanted, right? I'd be able to, I guess I could technically travel wherever I wanted, but like, you don't have to, in a way I do have a boss, right? I have the YouTube channel, I got to go live, all this stuff, but I choose to do this because I love it, right? I like helping other people learn how to trade and change their life like I did. But at the end of the day, when it comes to like professional trading, like you'll never see me get emotional. I've talked recently about trades I've missed, right? I believe it was this long position. I missed this long, guys. Oh my God, I got to long it. Oh, I missed the trade. Oh my God, I missed the low. No, right? Oh, missed the trade. Where's my next level? My next level is right here. So I just sit there, Do I wish I caught that because I missed out on money? I mean, I guess, right? I guess it's like, all right, cool, right? But I've proven to myself that I'm able to find these high probability trade setups over time, right? I've missed trades and then caught trades so many times that I know there's always another opportunity. So what do? I sit on my hands. I do not FOMO long, and I just take the short position, make a ton of money, take the profit, then I take the long, right? So it's, you have to look at trading that way, right? You can't trade with your emotions. If you do, it's going to get you cooked every single time. Trust me, I did it, right? When I talk about this stuff, I am speaking directly from experience. I made every mistake possible in trading. Probably way worse than most people here. I was a dumpster fire. I FOMO'd enough for everybody here in the chat. So if you could learn from my mistake, one person learns from my mistakes, and I save you time, and you could become profitable way faster than I did, that's my goal, right? I didn't have someone like me. Can we look at the lower time frames a bit? Yeah, we actually did just cover the lower time frames, but I will just pull up the levels here. We'll see what happens. Whoops. Yeah, just still kind of rejecting the value area high. Let's pull up market cipher B real quick. Yeah, a little 5-minute bear div here. Let me pull the full fib, right? So the invalidation here for me personally. So, yeah, you got the golden pocket value area high. Tapped. So, yeah, I mean, still what we looked at before would stand the same, right? If we can't break out here, even if we come up, reject the 786 back end, if we can't break out of this range, right, next major target would be the POC. Pull this fib real quick. Hey, look at this local golden pocket confluence as well. And then once we lose that POC, right, that opens the target down towards the value area low. So we'll see what happens. But the invalidation here be flipping that flipping this 786. Right, if we're able to break out, right, you could wick, right, but once you get above here, you start taking out this high. Remember, you have this liquidity sitting above, right? So that could give you like that little squeeze up towards 70K, which been sitting in these longs, not these longs. The longs from, yeah, pretty much the longs from here. Come on, man. Just give us a pump. To be honest, guys, I'm going to get paid either way. We go up or go down. I just want this range to break, man. I'll say it every day. I just want this range to break. Let's see. I'm down 17,000. Shout out to George. On your spot bags or on a leverage trade? Shout out to George. Let us know. I'm not range bound. Shout out to JoJo. I really believe that soon I will be able to trade like you. I'm trading too much with my emotions, and since I'm able to use leveraged accounts, since I'm in Canada, I'm trading equities every day. Shout out to George. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, guys, like this is probably the thing that a lot of people don't want to hear. There's only so many tutorials you can watch. There's only so many strategies you can look at. There's so many profitable strategies out there. This is what I was doing, right? In the beginning of my career, I was chasing that golden indicator, that golden strategy. I'm losing. Like, I started off as a breakout trader, and I was like, all right, breakout trading doesn't work. At the end of the day, there's people out there making money trading breakouts, right? So, and then you try whatever. I know ICT is super popular, more in like futures and stocks and stuff. There's a lot of strategies out there you can use. At the end of the day, it is much less about the strategies. You could be using volume profiles is one of the statistically highest probability strategies you can use. But even with that, you're only going to be as good as you're only going to be able to make money using that if you can be disciplined in following your plan, right? I can say to myself, "Oh man, I missed this long position." Right? And you'll know this, right? I'm sure there's a lot of people out here that in this stream right now that do this. I missed the long position. I know my next setup is here for a short, and there's no reason for me to long these green candles. Now, I'm not to say that you can't look for a retest, get in, right? You could totally do that. But just for example, if your next main target is up here and you missed the long from down here, and let's say you didn't get these pullbacks and you're just mooning, how many times would you say to yourself, hey, my trap's up here, I'm going to look for the short? And then once you get up to the short, you're like, oh my God, I don't know. We're pumping. Like, I'm at the level, but I feel like we're going to break out because of these green candles. You don't take the short. You FOMO long, and then you get wrecked. And then it's not until after the fact you're looking at that like, why did I do that? It's almost like, how could I have done that? I knew the plan. I knew the strategy. Why did I just do the opposite? It's emotion. At the end of the day, there's no strategy that's going to clear that up for you, right? It's you versus you on the chart, right? And sometimes it brings out the worst in you. And this happens to me. I'm not a perfect trader even today, right? Sometimes I'll get emotional. I'll make a mistake. I'll go on tilt. But you have to identify those mistakes, right? Having the plan, having the strategy is not the only thing, right? There's no, maybe I don't know what the high. I don't know what the highest statistical probability strategy actually is. I would say order flow and volume is probably it's got to be it, right? But even if there was a golden strategy, right, that was just like the highest probability strategy ever, most people would still lose money because they're not sharpening those intangible skills that you need to make money trading. Right? Having the beautiful strategy, I mean, I don't know how much, once I found volume profiles, it was like, all right, this is my strategy, right? This is what I'm going to trade. I know deviate below the low, get back into the range, PLC value area highs, super high probability. I know getting above, going back into the range, filling in full, super high probability. I know long and down here, going to the value area highs, super high probability, right? Look how beautiful that is. This is useless if you don't pay yourself where you're supposed to and look for the shorts. If you just FOMO long here and get wrecked, right, the strategy's not going to help you. You still have to follow the rules. You still have to stick to the plan. You still have to stick to the setups, right? And that's why I say trading is a game of trapping. Set your traps. If price is not in one of your traps, don't take a trade, right? Let's see. I've lost over 100K futures trading last year after making over 100K. Now I'm up 40 in 3 months with consistent profits and small losses. Feels way better than doing it slow and smart. Shout out to Ben's. Ben's Breakouts. It only feels good if it's sustainable, right? Hitting that, if you want a dopamine rush, put your whole account on 100x leverage and hope it plays out. If it plays out, it's going to be a dopamine rush. But if you continue to do that, it's not going to be long-term profitable. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to Tordborough. I don't know how to say that. I apologize. But he says, I'm like you, Frankie, stubborn and need to learn. I'm still doing it, but it helps so much hearing you say that. I'm highly profitable when I keep calm, but the moment I tilt, I lose. There you go. There's your answer, right? I've never, gone on tilt and made a bunch of money like that over, say, 6 months, right? Maybe I'm like, oh my God, I'm just gonna FOMO here, and then you get lucky and it plays out. And it's like, oh, thank God, right? But there's a huge element of luck to that kind of stuff. Shout out to DS said, I like doing it slow and smart too. What's the 90-minute money flow with the 1-day green dot? Shout out to JP Yo. Yeah, we do have that set up printing here. Again, money flow has been super choppy recently, but you do have that set up. Technically, you have the 90-minute money flow crossover into the green with your daily green dot, right? So you do have the market cipher B116 strategy playing out there as well. Daily money flow trying to cook back up here. So you do have that on your side here for a continuation up. Just have to see, right? If we get that 1 hour red dot, maybe we get a little pullback here. But technically from a money flow perspective, uptrend could continue. Simple line in the sand there for you guys. I know a lot of this local TA, especially in this chop, is very difficult, right? Got to get above this PLC. Flip the PLC. That's where I'm looking for the move up towards 70K. If we rotate, and this just fails again, right? To the PLC, back down. To the PLC, back down. To the PLC, back down. That's where I pull up the local range, right? The local context. Just sitting right in here. So we'll see. I'll keep these lower time frames open, see if we can get a move here. And then one other thing I will be looking at here. Yeah, 5-minute money flow just kind of flat still. Yeah, even that 2 hour money flow, I would say if we get that 2 hour red dot and the scalp ends up playing out, right? 2 hour red dot print, 7-minute money flow continues down, right? When you look at that 2 hour money flow, could still look like an ever flow to the downside for higher lows and eventual higher highs. It's just a waiting game at this point. At your 30-minute red dot printing, 15-minute red dot printing. What's that 1 minute money flow doing? It's total mess down here. But we'll see. See, market cipher A. Can we get anything? Yellow X, blood diamond, nothing. So we'll see. Keep the lower time frames open here. Money flow coming out. Whee! Right back to the upside. How much to join the Mafia? Shout out to Cake. Did you not get charged on the way in? Oh, my God. He got in here for free. How'd he do that? Shout out to Cake. The live streams are free. Shout out to JB. Thank you for the super chat, brother. He said, when you started learning volume profiles, who or what channel did you, what channel was your teacher? Shout out to JB. I found out about volume profiles. Let me see if I can find this guy's channel right now. I first saw a lot of people, volume profiles are old as time, right? It's one of the oldest strategies. They've been using it for years. Creighton C knows the guy who invented them. But it was very popular in stocks way before anyone started really using them for crypto. And I've always watched, like back in the day before I was in crypto, I wasn't trading crypto, so it was stocks. And let me see, it's going to be impossible to find this guy. Hang on. Please hold. It's not him. But it's an old strategy. It was a stock guy. If you just search volume profiles, just go to maybe 5 to maybe not at this point, maybe 7-year-old videos. They're all over the place. They're very, very old strategy. I learned from mostly stock people, and then I was like, right, this should work on crypto. Started playing around with it in crypto. Spent 50,000 hours back testing it in bar replay mode. Back when the volume profiles would actually print. You could still sometimes get them to print in bar replay mode, but a lot of times you can't print them here. Oh, there we go. Spent probably, I exaggerate 50,000 hours, but so much time, day in, day out, back testing it in bar replay mode, and just literally sitting here going to myself, all right, let me find a range. And I didn't know exactly, I've developed more of my own kind of personal style to use them. But, I would come here and I'd say, oh, look at this range. Let me see. Let me pull a volume profile. Interesting. These seem to be very reliable, right? And I would just back test it. I'd play with it on bar replay mode back before you could put in paper trades. I would just go like this and mark off thousands of fake trades, right? And play them through. I would have winners, losers, and it just seemed to be very profitable. And then I just started taking trades based off of it. Before that, I was trading breakouts. I was trading Market Cipher was also a big thing. Market Cipher helped me out a lot before I started using volume profiles. I would trade the Market Cipher B116 strategy alone, which, again, I don't recommend doing it alone. But I would use that for breakouts, right? If I was looking for a breakout and I had money flow coming up, that automatically increased my win rate on the breakout trades, right? Because I at least had an idea that the trend would continue up, right? But, of course, if you trade alone, oh, my God, we're breaking out. Let me take a trade, right? Wrecked. So you want to understand other things, right? There's a long list of things you have to understand: market structure, sentiment, all this other stuff, right? But then auction market theory is basically the theory behind volume profiles, right? The market is an auction, right? That's why we say expensive, cheap, expensive, fair value. You think of that volume profile as the fair value for price. Buyers and sellers agree that this is a fair value. When it comes up here, it's expensive. People sell it back in. When it's down here, it's cheap. People buy it up, right? It's essentially deviations below the volume profile. It's just a failed auction, right? Try to trade lower, reclaim value, failed auction. Tried to trade lower, it fails, it rotates to the upper end of value, right? And I always explain it think of it as an actual object, right? Let's say iPhones are typically around $1,000, right? Well, for whatever reason, if the price goes up to $1,500 and you're like, wow, these usually sell for $1,000, maybe I'll wait, right? Because it's kind of hard to explain shorts in this way. But, you're not going to buy it up here, right? You're going to wait for it to go down to the area where it's typically trading from, the fair price, which is about $1,000, right? So you're either going to buy within fair value, and if it goes down to lower value and starts to go below the fair value, right? Let's say they're $850 down here. You might think to yourself, well, hey, if I buy 10 of these at $850, and I know that they're typically trading for around 1,000, right? And sometimes they go above 1,000. Maybe I'll buy a bunch of them down here, expect it to rotate back into the fair value, wait for them to go back to their normal price. They're on sale down here. I'm going to buy a bunch of them, wait for them to go into the fair value, back into the expected fair value, and then sell them for a profit, right? And I used to do Amazon. I used to have an Amazon FBA business where I would essentially do the same thing, right? Buy cheap products and then sell them for higher on Amazon. It's an auction. It's business. It's buying and selling. It's a market, right? So this just really clicked with me. The idea of auction market theory and just the tech. If you don't know about auction market theory, value, anything like that, it's just very simple to look at this as like, okay, short the highs, long the lows. It was just very easy to click in my brain. So there you go. I don't even know if that answers your question, but let's see. How much for the free live stream? Shout out to Mr. Judd. These are $10,000. I'm kidding. I don't even want to say that. Someone's going to DM you on Discord and say, send us $10,000. Hopefully you wouldn't do that. How do you think to use Market Cipher B with volume profiles? So this is a self-made strategy from you, but how do you think to introduce Market Cipher? Like within volume profiles, I just use Market Cipher B as like a secondary kind of confirmation, right? I just use basically Market Cipher B to find divergences and money flow to identify the trend, right? So, and if you don't have Market Cipher, you could use the RSI to find divergences. You don't necessarily have to have a paid indicator, but you're not going to get the money flow, which is a huge part of it for me, right? So if I have a volume profile here, price is rotating around, and I'm short from the high, and this is the zero line money flows in the green crossing into the red, I would expect this probably to continue a larger downtrend, right? So I'm going to be greedy with that short, potentially hold a portion of it for a bigger breakdown. That's how I incorporate Market Cipher, right? And then again, you could use this on low time frames, and then of course, like on a higher time frame like the weekly, very simply, every weekly money flow crossover has indicated bear market is here. Right, confirms the bear market. Not the start of the bear market, right, but the confirmation of the bear market. And you could the reason I like money flow is because it's directional, right? Like once you see this money flow tanking out, it's an early sign, right? And then once you see it on the lower time frames, like I discussed before, 2-day money flow crossover into the red, right? Once I see this 2-day money flow trending out over time, this is bearish, right? Also, it's like divergent, right? Higher highs, lower highs on your money flow. Price is going up, money is leaving. That's weird. Right? That's what indicates that's the discrepancy that indicates the correction, right? So I see it early. This 2-day trend is likely to continue, right? If the 2-day money flow is coming out, by the time we get down here, the weekly money flow is probably coming out. If that weekly money flow is coming out, chances are we're in a bear market and we're going to continue lower. And then once you see this time and time again, when you see that 2-day money flow, you're able to do what we did, which is like, hey guys, if this 2-day money flow crosses into the red, downtrend is likely. If that happens, the weekly money flow is probably going to be coming out, which means if we break below 108K, likely 126K was the top. That's literally the calculation for us to figure out that 126K was likely the top. So within the volume profile, I just use it as I wouldn't even say like a confirmation, but like a confluence, I guess, or a directional. It gives me my directional bias. What would be the setting for RSI to replace Market Cipher? I would just use the default settings, right? If I pull up the RSI right now. Whoops. Let me try to find a divergence here, right? Like the weekly bearish divergences. Pull this one. Lower highs. Higher highs. Same exact thing on the RSI, right? So that's just default settings. So for divergences, you'll get pretty much the same signal. Sometimes you get different ones, but I'd say 99% of the time, you're going to get the same divergent signals. Oh, shout out to Perry. He said, how did you think to use Market Cipher with volume profiles? So it's a self-made strategy. I don't know. Like, volume profiles is definitely not. I did not invent volume profiles. I was using Market Cipher before I used volume profiles. So I just always had Market Cipher on the chart. And then while I learned volume profiles, while I started to incorporate them more into my trading, that's where just seeing money flow with the volume profiles is kind of how I just developed that thought process, right? And you don't have to use money flow. Like, there's other things you can use to identify the bias of the trend. But for me, I always had, like I said, when I was trading breakouts, I had Market Cipher while I was doing that, right? So I just always had Market Cipher on my chart anyway. And then once you start combining that, I mean, I don't know if I invented that. That's just what I use. So there you go. Shout out to Teggy. Teggy said, but we have blue dots on the weekly chart. Doesn't that indicate higher? If you go watch the Market Cipher tutorials, you'll understand kind of what these mean. The green and red dots indicate ebbs and flows. Green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot. Money flow indicates the trend. That's the easiest way I can explain it, right? So, for example, here's a green dot on the weekly. You get a move up, right? But it's not as easy as like, oh, buy signal. We're going super high. Right? The bias here is green dot, lackluster bounce to the upside for a lower high and a lower low to continue the downtrend because money flow is coming out. Yes, the green dot means up, technically. Of course, there's ups and downs within that. But yeah, the green dot is bullish, right? But with money flow coming out, I look at that as a lackluster retracement, lower highs and lower lows. Market's about to shake. Shout out to Crypto King. Let's see here. Popping above that value area high. We'll see. We'll see. Let's take a look at ETH maybe. All right, let's take a look here. Pretty much, yeah. I haven't really been covering the altcoins too much lately just because pretty much everything is going to be tied to Bitcoin. Ethereum holding the POC of the range. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, this is key to flip. If we get stuck back in here, right, doorway to the POC remains open, and then you do have the value area low here, confluent with your 786 daily MPOC. So I would say your key range here on Ethereum is going to be about 2,100 at the value area high, POC at about 1,949, and then the value area low at about $1,900. And then if you want to pull that zone down to the daily MPOC 786, it's at about 1,866. Just like Bitcoin, in my opinion, needs to hold the value area low, I would say this is kind of similar to Ethereum holding its value area low, right? Once we lose this, I think that's where you get the bigger drop down. Until then, break above here. I mean, let's pull this fib real quick. Yeah, you're pushing. I mean, this is your local resistance on Ethereum. If you can't get above here, you get accepted back into the range. I would say the doorway to the POC is still open. I would not chase longs here, right? If I were longing, it would have to be at the low. Only thing I would be able to look for here is shorts. But this would be kind of the local range I'm looking at. 2,100, the value area high. POC 1950. Value area low 1909. Let's take a look at the daily. Daily green dot printing. 90-minute money flow crossover into the green. So that's your argument for the continuation of the uptrend. Again, super choppy market here, guys. There's certain times where I'm super confident and really put a lot of weight on these crossovers with the Market Cipher B116 strategies. I would say right now, it is a signal. I would take it at face value. It's there, but you do have to understand you're still in a downtrend here. Daily money flow trying to come up. Come on, we need this daily money flow to continue up. And then if I take a little bit of a higher time frame view here, let's see. Yeah, I would still say if you get the big move up, like next major target, if we take out the high, this is like Bitcoin at 80K, would be Ethereum at about 2430 up to about $2,500. Right? You got your low, your higher low, higher high, higher low. If you get that higher high, this is where I would be looking. Right? So if that 90-minute money flow, daily green dot gives you the continuation up. Eventually, hopefully that daily money flow can continue the bigger uptrend. Technically you are still holding the structure here, right? So it's not going to be until we break down below the value area low where I'd be looking for that bigger drop down towards about 1652. The white part of the wave. I don't know exactly what you're referring to there. Shout out to Randy MC. Shout out to you, brother. Welcome in. I know your profile picture. Different name. How do I feel about the 5-day red dot? What I am looking at on that 5-day red dot is going to be 5-day yellow X as well. Interesting. 5-day red dot, in my opinion, what I'll be looking for here, if we take out the lows, I personally think it is set up for a potentially nice 5-day bullish divergence, right? So if we do get that low, I'm looking at that major support down here. Could set us up for that divergence. Right into that support. Take out 60K, tap into the major support, massive bullish divergences. That would look very nice. Throw in a bearish narrative there or something. Could be nice. So yeah, this is part of the reason why that 5-day red dot was part of the reason why we looked for that continuation down to the local range low. Let's pull up our overall volume profile here, trying to pop above that PLC again. Come on. Pop it for daddy. Go grab that liquidity. Got that 786 above you. Come on. All right, let's see here. Shout out to Out of the Bins says, Frankie looks like he has a fur Mafia boss coat on. It's a mink. It's a mink coat. It's a black t-shirt. It's like my Frankie Candles uniform. This is Candles makes fun of me. I wear a black t-shirt like 99% of the time. I got my weekend clothes. I got my colorful weekend clothes. But this is the Frankie Candles uniform. It's usually neutral colored shorts with a black t-shirt. I don't know why it comes up with that with the other names now. Yeah, shout out to Randy. I don't know. YouTube changed something. It uses like different handles now. I don't know. We should have one made. I just come up here in a mink coat. I already sweat bullets here on the live stream every day. I'd probably pass out if I had a mink coat on. Should we do it? Sell them on the merch store. Little CandleMafia mink Mafia boss coats. I need a new entry. Shout out to Crypto King. New long entry or new short entry? Please analyze BTC. Shout out to, I don't know how to say that name. Shout out to Lil. We've been analyzing BTC here for an hour and 28 minutes. You'll get red paint thrown on you. Oh, God. Short, preferably. I'll be honest. My next major area of interest for the short is going to be at around $69,500 to $70,000. Technically 70,500, but I'll kind of mark these off separately. Hold that POC. Next major target becomes up here. Let's check that liquidity real quick. Let's reload here a bit. Pull up exo charts over here so I can keep an eye on this. Yeah, if we start cracking that high, could see a little pop through that liquidity. Let me pull up a local profile here as well. Yeah, you got a little fall off in volume until that weekly MPOC. Got a little consolidation there, but this is my main target here to the upside. We'll see. Locally, it's that 786. I got the alert set here in case we come tap that 786. Hold above the golden pocket. Next place for price to go is going to be that 786. And then that is kind of the last place to reject from before we potentially come up to sweep that high. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, it's not the biggest gap ever, but we'll see. Every time we push up here, boop, take out that liquidity. I think it could assist that move up to the golden pocket. Shout out to Randy. Says when you make that when you make that noise, it sounds like a dog sniffing. I've been hanging out with Lucy too much. Shout out to H-Bar, said it sounds like a squirrel. That does sound like a squirrel. Shout out to DM, said stop loss is a pain to get right, probably because of a bad entry, but can't keep my fingers away from deleting them when the trade goes wrong. Give me some wise words. Stop it! Stop it! Yeah, I don't know. There's not a ton I can really say. Because I think the problem is it's two pain points, right? You're not really choosing between like a really awesome thing and a really bad thing. It's like you're either, right? I think most of the reason people, ask yourself this question: why do you move your stop loss? To me, right, it is. I think ego comes in, right? You don't want to be wrong, right? It's either you don't want to be wrong or you're just like, I don't know, right? Like, in my opinion, it's like if you don't want to get stopped out, it's like I think humans have an innate nature to not want to be wrong, right? It's like, oh, man, if I get that trade wrong, I'm going to lose it. And it's a lost trade, right? But you have to think, what is better, right? It's very simple. Simple is not the same thing as easy, right? It's as simple as going to the gym every day and eating right to get in shape, right? Simple, not easy. But risk management is literally the most important thing. If you do not manage the risk, if you do not keep your losses small, if you don't protect your capital, what are the options here, right? The option is, for example, let's just say you short here, stop loss is above the high, right? What are the options? You're either going to come up and you're going to get stopped out for a small loss, right? And if you're holding a long from lower, I also think that helps delete some of the emotions, right? If you're holding longs from lowers, it's like, I don't care if I take this loss because my long will continue to win. It's like cheating, right? It's like you're going to win either way. But let's say you're not holding a long, right? Price pushes above your invalidation and you're like, nah, I want to stay in the trade, right? Well, if your invalidation is that there's liquidity above here and if you get up here, you could see a fast move to the upside. Why? You just ask yourself, why are you going to do that? Why are you going to put yourself through that pain? Now when you take this loss, You're gonna lose so much more of your account, and it's gonna take you a bunch of wins, right, to make up this loss. If you keep the losses small, you can get stopped out of 2, 3, 4 trades, 5 trades in a row, and then hit one big win, right, or even just one full take profit. It doesn't even have to be a runner, right? Then it's gonna pay you out, cover your losses plus profit, right? You have to ask yourself this question, right? And I honestly think an easy thing to do is to ask yourself, do you want to gamble? And it's much more fun and enticing to people to gamble, right? Gamble if you want, right? I can't tell you not to gamble. But do you want to gamble and very likely blow up your account and not live to trade another day? Or do you want to take the boring route, right, and slowly grow, slowly take losses over, take small losses in a row and then hit one big winner? Oh, now my P&L's up, right? Your P&L is not going to look like this. I turned 500 into 10,000 overnight, right? Maybe you got lucky and that happens, right? But like if you wanted to actually replace your job with trading, you have to protect your capital because you're going to quit your job, right? You're going to get into a trade and your P&L is going to do that. You lost all your money. Now you got to pay rent, right? So you have to protect it. Like your P&L is very likely. Sometimes if you zoom in on your P&L and you have a losing streak, you're going to have losing streaks. You're never going to have a strategy that wins every single time. You're going to have losing is a part of the game. You have to accept that you're going to take losses, so you shouldn't shy away from those losses. The only reason you would shy away from those losses is if they're going to severely hurt your account, right? I don't shy away from losses, right? If I take a loss, I go, okay, cool. It's a little blip on the account, right? I take 5 losses in a row. Sometimes the P&L will look like this. Oh, man, right? But then I catch a winner, and it does this, right? And then I catch a loser, and I get maybe 2 winners, right? And then you catch a loss, and then a win. And then maybe 2 wins. And then you go on a winning streak. And then a loss. The worst thing that can happen is like you catch a win, right? You do really well. And then, you build up your account. And then all of a sudden you stop following your strategy. You stop following your risk management rules. And then you ruin it all. All that work is gone, right? You're going to have to take losses. You cannot avoid losses. Frankie, that's one thing that I would tell you I can't help you with, right? Frankie, how do I stop losing trades? I think obviously you want to win as much as possible is, obvious. But Frankie, I don't want to take losses anymore. Trading is probably not the game for you, right? You're going to take losses. I take losses, right? I might get stopped out of this short right now. The difference is I'm not going to get wrecked on this, right? I'm going to stop out, and I will pretend I'm not even holding the long, right? I'm just going to get stopped out for a small loss, and then if I were not holding the long, I would just simply do nothing until I hit my next target, and then I would look for another trade. If there was no setup up there and I didn't get the confirmations, I would simply wait for another setup. Yeah, wise words, stick to the plan. It's very binary, right? Preset your stop loss and walk away from the chart, right? Set your invalidation, right? Say your invalidation is whatever. Let's say it's right here. If I break above this high, my trade is invalidated. I don't want to be in the trade. I want to get out. Set your stop loss. You can even set your take profits and then leave the chart. You're either going to come back, you're going to be in profit, or you're going to come back and you're going to get stopped out. Is what it is, right? And then you'll live to trade another day because you took a small loss. It's very important. I can't stress that enough. Risk management is so much more important than strategy. Maybe that's a hot take. It shouldn't be a hot take, right? I feel like a lot of people think that's a hot take, but if you think that's a hot take, you're confused. Shout out to Oliver says, take 100 losses in a row at 1% risk and you're down 63%. Take 10 wins of 5% and you're up 63%. Small losses compound slowly. Steady wins compound faster. 100%. Yeah, stop loss equals capital protection. Absolutely, right? You have to live to trade another day, 100%. And, one thing that helped me a lot, too, is I think another big thing that people get chopped up on is, again, they're going for those unrealistic, I don't even say like unrealistic, but like you don't need, like back in the day, right? If I could make what I would typically make at a job in a day, now, of course, I was in a beginner trader shoes, right? So I was not looking at it this way. But if I could go back, right, it's like if I could make, if I made $200 on a trade, I'd be pretty stoked about that, right? But then I'd be like, yeah, but it could be 500, right? But if I just close that trade for $200, whether price continued up or continued down, whatever happens after that, it does not matter. If I could lock in $250 a day, $150 a day, whatever it is, right, to kind of replace a full-time job, right? Like you sat at your desk, you didn't have to lift a shovel, you didn't have to build a house, you didn't have to listen to a boss, you just printed money sitting on your computer, right? You don't need to, and to be honest, it's a journey, right? Like you can make a ton of money, eventually you'll get there. I eventually got there, right? But it doesn't have to be you make $10,000 your second week of trading. That's I would just say that's an unrealistic expectation, right? If you come in with those expectations, I got to tell you what you probably don't want to hear. Hey, in my first month, I want to go for a $10,000 month. I'd be like, slow down, right? You have to learn the strategies, learn the TA, and then again, all that stuff, getting all that stuff perfect. You could be an amazing analyst, right? You could be amazing at understanding where price is going to bounce. You could be right about those moves every single time. But if you're not sticking to the strategy, sticking to the plan, taking profit, moving your stop losses, if you're not managing those trades correctly, you're not going to make money. Doesn't matter how right you are, right? I can't tell you how many people I know that are like, oh, I know it's gonna bounce at this level. I know it's gonna bounce at this level. I'm gonna make a bunch of money when it bounces here. And then like they're really good at it, right? Like they'll hit the level, they'll be like, oh man, I should have longed it. I'm like, dude, you waited for that level forever. Why didn't you long it? It's like, yeah, well, it was dumping. I got scared. And it's like, you could be a great analyst. It does not equal a good trader. They're like almost two separate skills, right? Managing the capital and understanding the charts are like almost two separate skills. They go together, right? You need both of them to be successful, but they're two totally separate skills, right? I was very good at reading the charts long before I was making money, right? I would be right about the moves, but I would get scared out of my position. I wouldn't enter because I got scared. Oh my God, I want to see the 1 hour bull div down here, right? I want to see this lower low. And we actually anticipated this, right? To sweep the low one more time to get the medium time frame bull divs. But when you're looking at the chart here, oh my God, we're dumping. Oh, I don't want to long it here. Obviously, this is bearish. What happens, right? You wick back above, you get the 1 hour bull div, and you get the bounce, right? Obviously, now I take the positions regardless of how I feel. I keep bringing up the wrong trade, right? I take the positions regardless of how I feel, right? At this point. But it wasn't always like that, right? I was good at TA but way before I was making money. I wasn't messing up the TA. I was messing up, my emotions were messing up my execution. I actually have a video on the channel you guys should watch. You're not going to be able to find. It's going to be hard to find. But it was a video where I made money on a trade. It was a winning trade, but it was terribly executed. Nowadays, I always say judge your trades based on how well you executed them, not whether you made money, because this is a trap that people fall into. I'm just going to gamble here on 100x leverage on my whole account, no stop loss. If it comes down, I'm going to get liquidated and lose my entire account. And then it's a lucky trade, and you get a big move up, and you make make $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, whatever it is, right? That was a good trade. I made 10K. It's a terrible trade. If you didn't if you didn't have a plan for that trade and it was just luck, it's a terrible trade. You're not going to be able to repeat that with any form of any level of expectation, right? So just because you make money doesn't necessarily mean it's a good trade. And I had recently, maybe sometime last year, taken a trade, and I made money. I think I made like $4,000, right? It was a quick trade, made $4,000, and I was like, great trade, right, guys? No, not really. It was a terrible trade. In this video, I'm going to explain to you how me making $4,000 on this trade was actually a bad trade, and it was because it was terribly executed. I deserved to get wrecked on that trade. I should have gotten wrecked. That's what I deserved, right? So making, to me, right, if I lose a trade, do I consider that a bad trade? Let's say I'm looking for a long here, and price comes down. I get a confirmation. I take the trade. It plays out a little bit and then stops me out. Is that a good trade or a bad trade? 99% of people say bad trade. You lost it. No. Strategy was good. Assuming the strategy is good, confirmations are good, confluence is good. I'm going to take that trade every day, right? This one gets stopped out, and then I see the exact same setup again. I'm going to take it again, right? Because statistically, I'm going to win more of those than lose. This would not be a bad trade if I followed the rules and the confirmations where there was a valid trade. I stuck to the plan. I got stopped out. The trade lost, but it doesn't mean it's a bad trade. If I stuck to the plan, it's a good trade. I follow my rules. I hit the key level. I have my confirmations. I have my confluence. I took the trade. Good trade, whether it wins or loses, as long as the loss is within the risk management plan, right? If I wound up getting liquidated, bad trade, right? So in that same way, just like this win or this loss would not be a bad trade because you followed the plan, you listened to the strategy. You're gonna lose. You could trade the highest probability strategy on earth. You're still gonna lose trades. They're not gonna 100 out of 100 trades are not gonna play out. Right? It just is what it is, right? That's why risk management is so important. Just like this, if you take a trade for no reason and you make a bunch of money, sure, yay, you made money, right? That's still a reality. But if you do that consistently, you're going to wind up getting cooked, right? So I would classify that as a bad trade, right? Which I did in that video. I try to be as transparent as possible because I'm not perfect. I explained the mistakes I made, right? Even this far in my career, I still make mistakes. I still go on tilt. I still get emotional. That was part of the mistakes I made there. And that's why I make those educational videos to show you, like, even I make mistakes, right? Shout out to Teggy says, what I can tell is BTC still moves by news back in 2022. BTC didn't flinch on bad news, and that indicates a fundamental bottom. Yeah, we actually, obviously back then, we did talk about this, how this was actually, Garrett Soloway was on the show, and he actually talked about this. We essentially had news divergences, right? Like, obviously had the initial bad news of Terra Luna, right? Obviously, you ask me, show me the charts, I'll tell you the news every single time, right? Trump dumps the market with tweet. Cool. We shorted the top because we saw bearish signals, right? I don't care what the news is, but more often than not, I'll be around the right side of those trades every single time because I trade the technical indications. In a weird way, I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm not saying it's magic, but through my experience, for whatever reason, the signs are on the chart before the news comes out. If you're trading the news, you're usually too late, right? What happens if you try to short after the tweet came out and you start dumping? You get cooked, right? But news, massive dump. News, I guess you can consider this a massive dump. But again, right, like momentum is coming up, right? You do kind of have the divergence, right? Like the news is getting worse and worse, but the dumps are getting less and less. Anytime we, and in the same way, right, where the tops come in on bullish news, right? Pro crypto president. Everyone and their grandma was texting me in my personal life. Frankie, what altcoin should I buy? Should I buy Bitcoin? We're back above 100. We're above 100K, new all-time high. Trump's going to pump this thing. I'm like, man, where were you when I texted you? Down here, man. You didn't want to buy it. You said good luck. Now you want to buy. I don't know what to tell you, man. Obviously you're going to, oftentimes the good news is where the tops come in and the, bottom on fear, right? That's kind of like market psychology 101. What was the tweet about from Trump? The October back here, I think is what you're talking about. I don't even remember. Again, could probably pull this up in the premium Discord. I have to scroll back very far. But for us, right, I bring this up every time we're in a situation like this, right? For us, we were looking at this volume profile. Very simple, right? Again, it's binary for me. It's if I hit the key levels, we had some key levels up here. I don't remember what they were. If I get the key levels and we have the confirmations, I'm going to take the trade, right? So we simply wait for the deviation above the highs. We wait for, I don't remember the exact confirmations, but I could just see them here. Take a look at the 1 hour. Oh, my God, this is so annoying having to scrub back. Right, we get above the highs. Bearish divergences. Again, I don't know if this was the exact thing. I don't remember exactly what we were looking at, but you have the bear divs here at the highs. You get a little SFP here, maybe on a higher time frame. We see the bearish divergences, right? Whatever the confirmations were. We took the short here. I think it was at, I had the setup from up here. I personally entered in on the retracement here at 124K. Someone actually in the premium said they were still holding that trade. Shout out to you, bro. You shorted the top of the bear. We shorted the top of the bull market. But it's a very simple plan, right? We look at the volume profile, and I say, hey, we have the confirmations, right? Money flow coming out, etc. If we get the move down, value area high is your next key level of support, right? Once we get back into that range, I look for a push to the POC and the value area low. Somewhere in there, the tweet comes in, right? I'm short from up here based off the technical confirmations. Tweet comes in here. I'm not saying I knew there was going to be a tweet. I'm not saying it's magic, right? But almost every time there's some kind of a news event, bullish, bearish, doesn't matter. Almost every time, it's just on the right side of the trade. If the market looks bullish, I'm taking the long. I don't care what the news says, right? Usually it's show me the signs and then fill in the news of whatever it is, right? Even in 2022, when we were looking for the bear market to continue, right? This was all based off money flow. It was all based off technical confirmations for an eventual lower high and a massive lower low, eventually we get massively bad news, right? Dump. Had nothing to do with the news, just had to do with the technical confirmation. That weekly money flow was going to cross over into the red. That's what I look for. It's coming out super aggressively here. This is where we look for the continuation, not the start, but the continuation deeper into a bear market. Whatever the news is, I don't care. Whenever it happens, usually people are like, did you see the news? And I'm like, no, what happened? I don't know. Terra Luna collapsed. Oh, beautiful. I was already looking for the collapse. Once in a while you get some shocking news and, it'll wreck the TA. That sometimes does happen as well. But I would say statistically, more often than not, you'll be on the right side. Shout out to the Godfather said, it was me shorting the top from 123.8K still holding. Shout out to the Godfather. Let's go. I actually wound up closing a majority of that trade. I don't remember where. Maybe, I think down here. And then caught the short from 98K. Still holding a portion of that. Bear market lasts for about a year from the top on average. I think that was the measurement that I just pulled up, right? So if you measure it from the numerical all-time high, I think that's what brings you into like October. Yeah. So that would be the October bottom. Again, what that's going to look like. How far are we here? Let's see. 177 days. Let's just see. Just compare this to back here. $177 days. So, again, I wouldn't necessarily expect it to be exactly like this, but, is this the start of the bear market? No. This is bottom watch, right? Which is pretty much, well, not pretty much, which is exactly my thought process here. If we get another drop, bottom watch, baby. Bottom watch, not the beginning of the bear market. If we wind up losing all that key support, lose 47K, 30K would be a target. 37 to 30K would be a target, but not my base case right now. For anybody new here. Bitcoin struggling again at the POC here. / Golden Pocket 786. Let me pull up the local levels here real quick. Yeah, so struggling around that value area high. 7-minute money flow coming out now. 2-hour red dot looking to print. Not looking to print. VWAP rolling over, but it's not super close to the 0 line here. Check the 3-minute. Look at that money flow on the 3-minute. Whoa. Where's our 45? Yeah, 45-minute red dot looking to print. I mean, that's what I'm personally going to be looking at here. 45-minute red dot, 3-minute money flow crossover. If we're going to get a little continuation down here, I'll be looking at that 3-minute money flow crossover in cooperation with that 45-minute red dot. Yeah, shout out to New Earth Guardian says, who knows, endless ranging chop. Yeah, this is just total chop. Chop within chop. Absolutely brutal. Let's see here. Back into the value area. I keep trying to hedge my short with a long, and it keeps getting stopped out. Shout out to New Earth Guardian. Keyword stopped out. That's good news to me. Not keep getting liquidated. Shout out to Iron says, historically, does that measure to the bottom or the bottom, then recovery and sideways? I mean, historically, let's pull up the cycle chart here, right? Like, I mean, pick your poison, right? If you want to listen to the 4-year cycle alone, then you would just be waiting until October for the bottom. Now, I don't know if that necessarily means that you're going to see the traditional 70+% correction to 30,000 into October. Right, again, this is not my base case. But again, right, like you could go sideways for quite some time, right? Maybe you take out the low again, right? But then eventually you just kind of accumulate for a while. Again, my overall thought process is I am looking for a bottom, right? We could go lower, but at this point, right, we've already gotten the massive capitulation down. Right? Doesn't mean you can't go lower, but I am for me, I am much more interested in looking for a bottom to form than I am expecting the bear market to start. Did the bear market start here? 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 No, the bear market started here, right? And for me, I would argue that we really peaked out on euphoria back here, which if you measure from there, right, 588 days, pretty much bring you into October. Same thing, right? But yeah, I mean, again, doesn't mean you can't go lower. But like when you start to look at this long term, right? Like, hey, is it time to start paying attention to Bitcoin and potentially looking to buy? I would say yes, right? I bought some Bitcoin down here. If we drop, I will continue to dollar cost average in, right? Drop again, buy, right? Weighted dollar cost averaging. I will buy heavier as price goes down, lowering my average entry price. I'm never going to wait for if I was, let's just say I was waiting for the 37K POC to get tapped to buy all of my Bitcoin. What happens if we don't hit 37K, right? I'm going to be thinking, oh, no, we have to hit 37K. Wait, we have to hit 37K. Now I'm not in the market, right? I'd rather be partially exposed at least, right? Or at least start to take little bites here. And then we continue to dollar cost average in, right? We are down 50% from the all-time highs. I think in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to be well above 66K. Or maybe it goes to zero and I lose all my money. Looking to dump into the monthly close. Oh, man, I hope not. Again, I would really like to see the close above 68K would be nice. Get above that value, get above that POC. Not this POC. This POC. No, yeah, this POC. Come on, man. I mean, we're close. Come on, man. But yeah, Chop City. Look at this. Let me see something here. Yeah, hold a short to offset the downside of buying spot. Shout out to New Earth Guardian. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Let's see. If you lose all your money, you'll still have this channel. Shout out to Diaz. We can all cry together. But I do not plan on. I don't plan on losing all my money. Honestly, it wouldn't even end, right? Like worst case scenario, it wouldn't even end in losing all my money, right? Like it would just end in like holding. You have to understand, right? Although I am full-time crypto, right? I am not like if Bitcoin. Let's say I thought strongly that the bottom was in. I put all of my capital in here, all of my capital, and Bitcoin goes down to 30K, right? You have to understand something. I am. I don't want to be like. I have financial literacy, right? So like my entire net worth is not in crypto. So even if Bitcoin went to zero, don't get me wrong, it would hurt if Bitcoin went to zero if I was fully in market, right? But I'm not going to have to like sell everything I own to pay my bills, right? So there is that. You want to make sure, like I think a lot of people, another reason why a lot of people make the emotional decisions is because, and I'll say this from experience with people in my personal life, they make these knee-jerk reaction emotional decisions, and I can almost immediately identify why it's happening, right? It's happening because they are investing way too much of their money, right? They don't want to invest a small portion of their money, right? Because they want to get rich overnight. And they don't want to hear the proven way to make money long term, which would be dollar cost average into the market and get Bitcoin out of the picture. Just dollar cost average into an S&P index over the next 20 years, and you'll make money, right? They don't want that, right? They want to get rich overnight. And then they get emotional at the top because they got too scared to buy the bottom. This is people I personally know. Many people I personally know. I tell them, hey, you got you got Frankie Candles in your family here. Just a word of caution, guys. Make a little group chat. I'm buying down here. Not telling you to buy, but I will feel irresponsible. I'm not telling you guys to buy down here. One of the only people that did it with me was my dad, who made a ton of money and sold at 125K. But most of those people did not buy. And most of those people were just not interested. They're like, dang, man, like, good luck with everything. I'm like, all right. And then all those people did not text me until right here. And they were like, where do I put my entire net worth? And I'm like, dude, you very likely missed almost the entire boat. Yes, we came down and came back up for a little bit bigger of an all-time high, just like in 2021. But at this point, they had missed most of the bull market, right? This is the bulk of the move. And I have to be the person to say that to them, right? Like, hey, man, like, I don't really know what to say. And, like, I don't know. I don't have to worry right now if we get a big correction here because I'm in for much lower. And I told you about this, right? This is just, if I were you, I would just be late, right? Like, this is just too late. And then they put their entire net worth, right? Or they put way too much of their money in, and then they're down here, right? A little bit of a pullback, which we were looking at as a higher low and a higher high. And then they're thinking, oh my God, I'm already down a ton. Now I have to pay my bills. Oh my God, right? And they just make those emotional decisions because I just think they just over leverage themselves, right? They just over invest. So I think like really building wealth over time takes time. Right. And it's not this sexy get rich overnight thing. Right. And of course, you will have those trades that run. You make a ton of money. It's beautiful. And as long as you do that in a responsible, kind of legit manner with an actual plan and actual strategy, that's the way you want to do it. Right. Yeah. Use leverage and controlled risk, and you won't need to full port. Yeah. Shout out to New Earth Guardian. Shout out to, I think it says Joel. All right, all this stuff takes too long. Love and appreciate you, Frankie, but straight up, are we going under 50K or not, in your opinion? That is kind of the lowest I'm looking right now. I can tell you this, I am not looking at 30K right now. That is not my base case. My base case is if we put in another low into the mid to low 50s is really where I would like to see high time frame bullish divergences for the bottom to come in. But again, at the end of the day, can't really rely on someone, if we get down here and things look like trash, right? Like that's going to be something I take into consideration, right? But for me, until we lose 47K, I am not anticipating $30,000 right now. And the reason for that is because of the high time frame indicators on the weekly. The RSI, Market Cipher B, has always been in a situation where it's like maybe we get one more big dumpski, and then at that point, it's like it's almost all over, if not all over, right? But at the end of the day, it's going to take a lot of time. It's probably going to be very confusing, but we'll be here to cover it live. Hell yeah, thanks for answering, bro. Shout out to Joel. Yeah, shout out to you, brother. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, could you go below 50K? Sure. But that's major support down there, right? 55K at the weekly, and then you have the value area right here, right? So this is major support. Am I waiting, right? Am I going to wait to put my entire bag in at 55K? No, right? Again, dollar cost average, weighted dollar cost average, right? And then like even down here, it's not until we lose that 47K POC that I'd be looking for the massive dump down to 37 to 30K. But right now, I think this is strong support. Once we get down there, I'll have a clearer view, a clearer read on the charts, right? If it looks like trash down there, I can start to talk about the probabilities of getting accepted into the high, going to the POC, losing the POC, going to low, which would obviously give you that traditional, what would it be? 75% drop to the bear market target low, right? This is, if you just listen to the 4-year cycle, this is what you'd be looking for. But again, there's not a ton of confluence for that situation, right? Bring it back to 2022. Here's your oversold RSI. Let's go from the low After that, you end up going another 12% down, right? That's in 2022. Major signal on the RSI, 12% below the low. Let's bring it over to 2018. I'll have to pull up a daily time frame. Oh, no. We'll have to look at the weekly because we want to see the weekly RSI. 2018, here's your oversold RSI. Literally, the bottom is already in. Here's your weekly oversold RSI in 2014. Literally, the bottom is already in. So, in 0 cases historically, have we ever seen the bottoming formations here on the RSI, right? Bottoming formations, right? Not necessarily that you can't go lower. We did go lower in 2022, but we did not, in no case did we ever go 50% below the low after the RSI is oversold, right? So it's like two things can be true at the same time. Yes, historically, you look for the 75% plus drop, right? But the indicators are not pointing towards that, right? So yes, if we were maybe up here, right, or maybe the RSI was up here and we were sitting at 60K, then we could start talking about that. But this oversold RSI, amongst many other things, have always indicated you are closer to the bottom than a 50% capitulation. Is it possible to capitulate? Yes. But again, right, that would be, let's see what 50% from this low would have been. Be hilarious if it was 8K. You can't make it up. 55% to 8K, right? Yeah, there's your 8K calls, right? And I've been talking a lot about how I think 30K is starting to seem a lot like the 8K calls back here. Not impossible, right? I'll be the first person to tell you it's a legit target. But, two things are true at the same time. Yes, 30K, we give you the 75% correction, but also your high time frame indicators are looking to form bottoms here. So that's why I say I would like to see this massive support, right? Until it's proven otherwise. What would this be? Again, I'm not saying it has to be exactly the same thing, right? 12% would get you to 52K, so like into the low 50s. This is just, from a TA perspective, going to be a very important level to hold either way, right? Because you don't want to get accepted back into this previous value, right? You want to kind of retest the range and not break into here and lose the POC, right? So this is just a major, major key support level. So we have bottom indications on the RSI, bottom indications potentially like market cipher B looking very similar to when we see bottoms come in. And in every single situation, right, it's like one more drop, and then historically the bottom's been in, right? So that's kind of my base case right now. Once we lose this, it just statistically the probabilities become lower. But until that happens, if this, then that. Not just going to be sitting here being like, it has to hit 30K. Just listen to anyone who says it has to hit a target, right? 99% of the time, that target doesn't get hit, and everyone gets wrecked. 250K, 250K, 100K, 100K, 8K. Shout out to Golden, says, welcome in, Golden. Good to see you, brother. He says, what about 43K? I mean, listen, if we get accepted in here, right, at that point, it's like we're in the danger zone, right? It's like get accepted into this profile. The last big level of support is 47K. Maybe you get a wick, right? I could see a situation where you see a wick below that maybe, right? But again, I don't know. I would have to see what the charts look like when we get down there. Who knows, right? The charts could look like trash there. If that's the case, then we'll be talking about the high probability move towards 30K. But yeah, I mean, right now I'll be watching 47K. Once we get down there, might happen quickly, right? We have this very big wick. Maybe we go take that out, right? At that point, we're inside the profile. It starts to look a little bit more bearish for much lower. It's an if this, then that statement. For me, it's like if we get stuck under here, then we can start talking about 30K. It's not that I'm saying it cannot go to 30K. But, only time will tell. This stuff takes time. So, yeah, I would say 43K if you get the wick below the POC maybe. Forget the level that you said you were looking at down there, Golden. I remember there was a level that we were able to find. Yeah, you got the previous value area high here. About 44K. And then you have this previous value area as well. This was the ETF approval profile. You got your POC at 43K. So you'll have all these local levels on the way down. But just from like a macro perspective, simple volume profile stuff, right? This is undervalued, below your previous fair value. For me, that's accumulation, right? Once you break back into the range, I look for a rotation to the POC and the value area high, right? And money flow was coming into the green, right? Just starting to cross over into the green, indicating the trend would continue up. Same way on the way down. If we get in here and we start breaking back into the range, right? If money flow is in the green, just starting to cross into the red, I would have to say, hey, this looks like a good roadmap for the rotation of price. But we don't have that, right? We have the weekly money flow is already in the red, right? If I see, let's say we get a push down here. Let's say we put in high time frame bull divs. Maybe the weekly money flow is working its way up. Then we just wouldn't have that confirmation for the rotation down. But again, I don't know what price is going to look like down there. But yeah, you do have the POC of this previous range in here, which would be, I would probably, I'll be honest, I would probably favor this range. Nah, maybe not. I mean, this was on the ETF approval. You will have that POC in there. It's going to be an important level. Yeah, we don't have the monthly MPOC there, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, 47K is the technical big point of control. I mean, this is the really big important level in my opinion. But once we get down there, that POC at 43K will be valid. Right after that profile, though, all I see is air. Yeah, I mean, let me pull up the VPVR real quick. Just doing a deep dive here. So when we look at all of the volume throughout all this price action, obviously here's your major support that we're talking about right now. It's a major volume, major high volume node, right? Below that, you have that 47K POC. And then below that, you have a pretty big gap between about 47 and 40K. There's your shelf of volume. That runs you down to about 30K. So yeah, if you just wanted to mark this off very simply, major support, I'll just leave that there because I already have it marked out. Next area of major high volume node sits between 50 and 45K, right? That's kind of the 47K POC. And then underneath there, you have this next high volume node, which is kind of your move down to 30K, right? So again, for me, these are areas of interest, right? If I get confirmation here and it looks really good, this could be an area to look for a bottom. If we lose that, this could be the next area. And then once we lose this, I'm pretty much looking for the rotation to 30K, which is, again, your next big high volume node. So yeah, I guess what do you say, 43 to 49? Yeah, 49 to, 45-ish. Not super off there. So yeah, I mean, these are just very clearly massive levels. And for me, it's not about trying to predict exactly where price will bottom out, right, which a lot of people think. It's about what's happening here. This will be an area where I'm interested in seeing a bottom come in. If it fails, I know the next place where I'm interested in a bottom coming in, so on and so forth. Just like on the way to the upside. I actually talked about this on a recent live stream. We had major targets to the upside based on our Fibonacci extension zones. Right, I'll pull up the exact levels that we looked at ever since we were at the bottom, right, down here. And these seemed crazy at the time because, of course, talking about 100K when we're sitting at 19K is like, oh, my God, these idiots still think it's going to go to 100K? Pretty much. But there's the major bull market target number one for me, right? And then obviously, previous all-time high is going to be major resistance, but in no world would I ever expect that previous all-time high to be the top of the bull market, right? So if we break the all-time high with some gusto, with some volume, next major target is going to be between $92,000 and $102,000. That was the first place we cooled off. And then the second major target was between 137 and 156K. Notice we did not hit 137 to 156K, right? So this is a target I look at, right? But if I see those early warning signs that the bottom or the top might be coming in before we hit those targets, I don't need these targets hit, right? Once I see these weekly bear divs, the money flow looking like trash, which we identified at around 110K, 108K, at that point, it's like, hey, might have to start talking about 126K being the top, right? Not, never say like, oh my God, we have to hit my target. We have to hit my target. No, right? This would be the first place I'd look for a top. We looked at it, identified a higher low, and a higher high was more likely. Played out. I did take some profit on my Bitcoin here. And then we have the next target here. Does that mean we have to go to that level? No, right? If we pushed into that level, it would be an area where I'd be looking for a top. If I got the confirmations, right, that we saw here into this zone, right, that is where I would look for the top. But once they come in a little earlier, which we ended up getting local Fibonacci extensions, right? We pulled this next local extension where we had this level here at about 124,575. And that's where the top ended up coming in, right? So you don't have to hit those targets. They're areas of interest, right, where I would look for the top. But if I front run that level and I see the confirmations, I'm at that point saying probably not going to hit that target, right? It's going to be the same thing on the way down. Can we go down to 47K? Yes. Can we go down to 30K? Yes. If I see the confirmations before that, am I going to react off of that? Absolutely, right? Just like I wouldn't wait for this to sell my Bitcoin, I would not wait for 30K to say the bottom is in, right? Or I would not wait for 30K and say that, at that point it's like, again, you have to ask yourself, what if 30K doesn't get hit, right? So it's difficult, right? But there you go. Shout out to Golden. Hopefully that makes sense. Shout out to Golden, said the scale that you have your price set on right now makes it not look like it's a 10K drop. Yeah, shout out to Golden. Yeah, we are in a log here. So yeah, let's see, 47K. Yeah, it does look a lot more dramatic, right, when you have it in non-log. So yeah, shout out to Golden. Hopefully that hopefully that gives you some kind of insight. Hopefully that helps you in some way. Oh yeah, 47 to 40. Yeah, it's that little that volume gap. Come on. 47 to 40. Yep, definitely a gap there. Assuming this doesn't hold up, that would be the next anticipation. Again, it's always an if this then that for me personally. So I would never ever say we have to go hit this, but I would say if you're not gonna hold this, I would not expect to just bounce randomly in here. I would say this is very likely to get tapped. But again, if I see the bottom in here, I'll look for it or I'll call for it. See the bottom here, I'll call for it. If not, right, that would be the next major target. So there you go. Hey, shout out to Saeed. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in. Good to see you in here. Let's see, locally. Oh, my God. Bro, talk about shop. Talk about shop here, man. Just playing with the value area high. It's a brutal price action. Just tell us when Papa Candle buys the bottom. Shout out to Diaz. Yeah, that might be the signal. He's just going to be like, yeah, I feel like it's done going down. I'm going to buy now. My dad's like a typical New York Italian. Yeah, I think it's done dumping. I'm gonna start buying down here, Frankie. You should too. Algo short for the win. Not going to do full TA on this, but yeah, I don't know. This would have been like the short of a lifetime here. 56 cents. But maybe you might be talking about locally. But I'm not going to dive into the altcoins today. We need some price. We already took a look at ETH. I would take a look at Solana. Just because we just keep having to look at the same stuff. Like, until something changes, it's just super repetitive. Yeah, Solana still holding on top of the value area low. Same thing as Bitcoin. Deviate below the low. POC. Back down to the low. Key resistance above you is still the POC at $85. Value area low. Still key support. Just like on Bitcoin. It's all the same stuff, right? This value, once we lose this, I'm looking for the bigger breakdown. If we could hold inside of here, target remains open towards the PLC and the value area high. Other than that, chop fest. Absolute chop fest. Smash the like. Shout out to BTS. Appreciate you, brother. Smash that like button if you guys appreciate the free analysis daily here on the Frank Candles live stream. I'm more interested in when your dad starts buying. Shout out to Judd. That's what everybody says. I'll let you guys know. I'm not going to keep it a secret. If he says he's buying, I'll update the Mafia. Yo, shout out to Crypto Billy in the chat. Says the best candles are Frankie candles. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Thank you for being here, brother. Welcome in. Have you created a Lucy altcoin? Not yet. Not yet. If you see a Lucy coin out there, guys, it's not me. It's fake. Don't buy it. Shout out to Striker. Says, Frankie, I need the repetition. That's how my smooth brain works. You don't have a smooth brain, bro. Shout out to Low. Says, is it a good idea setting some short orders from 69.2 to 70K? Got 4 orders right now. Shout out to Low. I don't personally trade limit orders. I usually mark it in. And the reason for that is just simply because I trade. I'm a reactionary based trader. I want to see confirmation, right? If I see a confirmation, I'll take the trade, right? So again, next major target to the upside is going to be between about 69.3 up to about 70,500 at the Golden Pocket 786, right? So if I get up there, I'm interested in a short, right? But if I get up there, I want to see what price is doing, right? If I don't get my entry triggers, I'm not going to take the short, right? If it just looks, if I don't get entry triggers, chances are we're probably going to run right through that level. I don't want to, I'm just going to miss out. I'm just going to sit out on the bad trade. If I do get the entry triggers, I will take the trade, right? So it's an if this, then that for me. I'm waiting for the target to get hit. Once it gets hit, I look at the chart. Am I getting an entry trigger? Looking at the order flow, seeing if there's a good trade to be taken. Then I will take the trade. If I don't get the confirmations, I typically will sit out of the trade. I'll hold my long position and continue playing out. So at the end of the day, if I set limit orders here, and we have, we might just like Lambo candle through these levels. We don't get the confirmations. I don't want to just get into the trade for no reason. It's key resistance, right? But not all support and resistance is going to hold. You want to make sure that you have those confirmations to look at. Shout out to Nadia said, what did you change in your trading when you went from break even to profitable? I stopped being greedy, which is hilarious, right? Because you think if you were greedy, you would make more money. It's actually it was the opposite for me. I just simply stopped being greedy. I started taking profit, right? Because my break-even phase was essentially, right, I'd take a trade, it would play out the way I think it would, and I just wouldn't take profit. I'd be like, oh my God, this is amazing. I just want to hold it for as much profit as possible. I just wouldn't pay myself. I started being okay with not taking a $5,000 profit every single trade. Like, if I was up $200 here, I wouldn't take it because I wanted $1 billion. So the biggest thing that changed was I stopped being greedy and I started accepting that not making $1 billion a day and making consistent profits daily was more beneficial. Because basically what I would do is I would take the trade, it would go up, right, to be in my favor, but $500 for the day was not enough for me, right? Wasn't enough for me. I need $5,000 for the day. Regardless if that was a rational thought or not. That's just what I wanted. If it wasn't a ton of money, whatever, $500, whatever, I'll just hold it, and hopefully I'll just gamble, and hopefully it just continues to play out. It would come back down, and I would just get stopped out of break even, right? Where previously I was getting wrecked, right? So still a huge bump in experience there, or a big bump in my journey going from losing money to break even. But I just stopped being greedy. I just started making, and what that does over time is it builds confidence, right? Because again, then when you get to a situation where you could take higher position sizes, right, larger position sizes, a partial TP here could be $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, right? And then all of a sudden you're sitting there, you're like, oh, I hit TP1 and got stopped out, and I made $3,000, right? But back in the day when that was an unrealistic goal for me, I just expected that to be the case. So hopefully that makes sense. I just simply stopped getting greedy and I started paying myself, even if it wasn't the number I wanted, right? I had to learn that the chart didn't care about the money I wanted to make. It cared about the key levels and the confirmations, right? So hopefully that helps you out. Shout out to Nadia. Great question. Thank you. I'm learning this and risk management, and I feel it will pay me even more than TA. Yeah, shout out to Naughty. It's definitely a more, again, risk management, even like trade management, position management over strategy and TA. Shout out to Wick 589. Shout out. He says, I saw Frankie at a Bitcoin conference one time. Shout out to Wick 589. He's as tall as. How do you say that? Is it Oliver Roy? Oliver. I assume that's like Oliver Roy. Am I crazy for not knowing who this is? Hang on. Oh, he's a basketball player. As tall as whatever, Oliver, however you say his name. Mrs. Candles is 5 foot even naturally. Shout out to Wick 589. Oh man, yeah, that's like one of the most common things. People are like, "Whoa, you are not. I thought you were not. I didn't know you were this tall." I'm not super tall. I'm like 6 foot, maybe like six and 3/4, maybe. Not like super giant tall. But people are always like, "Dang, bro, I did not know you were tall. I thought you were short." Nope. All my weight is in my calves, though. Shout out to Wick 589. Did the Cavs live up to? Did the Cavs live up to expectation? Why am I frozen here? Are we still live? Is it just my camera that's frozen? There we go. We're back. Oh, and I'm frozen again. And we're back. Okay. There we go. Okay, there we go. 786 tapped. Finally, something happens. Where's the 786 at? I deleted it. Here's the 786 tap. Now, hopefully we get a move and we just don't reject back in here. We live just your cam. Okay, yeah, I don't know why that froze. But yeah, Wick 589. Let me know. Let me know if the Cavs lived up to the hype. Oliver is 7'9", and yes, the Cavs were fantastic. Shout out to Wick 589. Let's go, baby. They're not prosthetics, guys. They're not prosthetics. I do have to start stretching. Over the years, getting my leg that high to get onto the camera has become harder and harder to get them up there. But anyway, gotta start showing the calves a little more. Get the likes up. Show some. I was gonna say show some meat on the live stream. Calf meat, guys. Anyway, are we gonna get to see Lucy tonight, or am I taking my like back? Shout out to Panda Profit. Yeah, shout out to. I think Mrs. Candles just got here. Maybe Mrs. Candles can let her in here. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Mark. He says, my risk management is simple. I don't tell my wife about my stocks in crypto. It's a good strategy, bro. Let's see here. Calf. Shout out to Golden. Show the calf. Meat is only for the private streams. Yeah, the only candle streams. Guys got to subscribe for that separately, though. But there we go. Little pop here. Are we going to come take behind, squeeze out that liquidity? We do have the liquidity sitting above here. Will she sweep? Will she sweep? Mrs. Candles is reading this. Bring lucky forth. Bring us thy Lucy. Why'd I say lucky? Another comment. I don't think she's here. Let's give Mrs. Candles a call. She's probably like, I don't know, doing yoga or something. Let's see. Hey, I'm doing yoga. No way. She just banged it on me? That's crazy. Hang on. Five-minute close above the 786? No way, bro. That better be a dead phone, or she's got the quickest FU button finger ever. Oh, baby. She going to SFP that 786? She going to pop? Come on, dude. Just send us a 70K, dude. Come on. Give us a thumbnail play out here. Give us the thumbnail play out. Give us some action. Just let it go. Just let it go, man. Just let it go. I say that to my wife all the time. Will she sweep? That's crazy, bro. Mrs. Candle just got a robot vacuum. I was like, hey, this thing, I don't trust that thing. I don't trust that thing. Frankie in the doghouse. Yeah, what is going on? Mrs. Candles is pissed. Oh, no, there she is. She just texted me. She said, stop calling me. It's over. It's a joke. It's a joke, guys. Death Candle to 60. Come on, Indian Martini. Oh, man. That means I thought she was going to come here, and Lucy's probably losing her mind down there. I don't think Mrs. Candles is going to be able to make it to BTC. I always say BTC Miami, the Bitcoin conference this year, because Lucy doesn't have all her shots, so we can't board her. And I don't know how we would be able to bring her to Vegas. That'd be sick if we could bring her to Vegas. But I don't know. Do casinos let you bring a dog? I don't know. It'd be super hard. Shout out to Golden. Thank you for the super chat. Said, sorry, I'm not going to pump the price today, but I will drop some memberships. Shout out to Golden. Oh, man. Probably not going to pump then, guys. Golden's not going to push it. Come on, Golden. But he is going to drop memberships. Let's go. Shout out to Golden, baby. Drop that. Well, we'll have to wait for the memberships, but drop those golden emojis in the chat if you do have a membership. We do have a lot of gray names in chat right now. Soon to be very green. Make sure you do have in your YouTube settings membership gifting enabled, because if it is not, you will not be able to get a membership. Free Coaster said, Golden not pumping the price. We're going down confirmed. RV rental to Vegas. That'd be kind of sick. We could have a Frankie Candle's birthday party in the RV. I don't know. I do get wild on my birthday, guys. Chances of that RV getting back in one piece is probably 0 if we did that. Crypto Billy with the golden emojis. Let's go. Dogs are allowed in the private jet, just saying. Shout out to Golden. I'll be honest, bro. I don't know how Lucy would do on like a big plane. I would assume she'd probably scream and everybody would hate us. Lucy on a private jet would be hilarious. I've had the dog for like 3 weeks and she gets a private jet ride. Shout out to Golden, bro. Golden, I assume you're going to be there, right? Bro, I have to meet you in real life, dude. I have to meet you in real life. I assume you're going to be there. Nick Dunn just wrote golden emoji, yellow heart. I love it. No, Saeed, no. I was joking. She didn't actually say we're over. It was a joke. Mrs. Candles would never leave me, I don't think. If she hasn't left me at this point, sacrificing 99% of my time with her to hang out with the CandleMafia and trade, I don't think anything's going to push her away. I mean, yeah, we take care of her. We take care of her. She's like, you're still streaming? And I'm just low-key like, here. Do whatever you want. She's not a money girl, thank God. I couldn't buy her patience, unfortunately, which is a good thing in my eyes. Lucy in the sky with Golden. Oh, my God, bro. That would be Lucy on the fly. That'd be fire. There we go. Shout out to Golden, baby. Let's go. Gifting those Frankie Candles memberships. Come on, baby. Let's get it. Shout out to ADD Dad in the chat. Getting the membership. What is going on, brother? Hope you're doing well. There's those memberships flying through the chat. There we go. Some green names. Come on, baby. Come on. Golden emojis in the chat. Golden the boss. Golden the boss. I don't know. Golden's got some kind of mafia position here. It's got to be some kind of mafia position. Dude's wild. Yeah. Golden is out of control. I was actually talking about Golden today to somebody. I was like, Golden is a godsend. We love Golden. What kind of dog? I brought my 8-week-old Roddy to the biggest powerlift meet in the USA for a vendor booth, and it was something funny. Shout out to Iron. She is, I don't know, she's like a Pitbull lab, probably. They said Pitbull Australian Shepherd, but she's not an Australian Shepherd. I'm using my amateur dog expertise of just like having 2 eyes to know that she's not an Australian Shepherd. But yeah, maybe we'll do it. If we could do that, that would be pretty fire. The Mafia gets to meet Lucy. That'd be so sick. There we go. Golden emojis in the chat. I'm going to spam some golden emojis here while we watch Bitcoin Bing Bong around the 786 here. Can't ban me from my own chat. You think I'll get timed out? Sneak a Bitcoin jack-o'-lantern in there? I started the golden waterfall. Almost said it. It's just natural to say shower. I'm sorry. It's just, I don't know. I've never said golden waterfall until I found a reason to say it here on the live stream. She's adorable breed. Shout out to Diaz. Yeah, she is very cute. Golden 2 got one. Golden's alt account got his own membership. I love that. I love that Golden has like 7 alt accounts here, so we could gift more memberships. Insane. Golden, you're the GOAT, bro. We appreciate you. I know the Mafia does as well. Let's see here. All right, well, we're ping-ponging around here, guys. We're coming up on a 2.5-hour live stream here. Or not coming up to. There we go. We got the 45-minute VWAP still coming down here. 786 rejected currently. 5-minute money flow attempting to come out. You got the bearish divergence. I mean, this is the level. Last place to reject. We get stuck back inside the value area. POC is back open. Lose the POC. Back down to the value area low, in my own honest opinion. And we'll see what happens. Yo, Golden with another. Yo. 50 Frankie Candles memberships, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Lucy is probably losing her mind right now. She's like in her cage like, what's going on? What's going on? Oh, my God. Shout out to Golden. 100 memberships. Clock it. Clock it for the stream. Unbelievable. Insane. Shout out to Golden, guys. Show some love with a gold. You know what? Screw it. Golden shower in the chat. Golden shower in the chat for Golden. I can't say it. Golden waterfall in the chat for Golden, baby. Let's go. Show him some love. If you don't have a, I think that's got to be everybody in the chat right now. We're in bear market territory here. Low attention. We got to have like 3 green names left, or 3 gray names left. I think everybody else got a membership. Let's go. Guys, these are not cheap. Show Golden some love. Unbelievable. And if you did not get a membership, guys, make sure you have your membership gifting enabled in your YouTube settings. It's off by default. Golden, you're the GOAT, bro. Thank you so much. I don't know what to do for Golden, bro. I feel like I owe you my life, bro. You support us and the Mafia so much. I don't know, bro. I give you some secret key levels? I don't know. What can I do for you, bro? Hot Golden show. Oh, man, we're losing. We're losing it. We're losing it. Crypto Sharknado said, did I get one? Dang, you're still gray. Still gray. Dang, we do have a lot of gray names in the chat. That's kind of crazy. It's not who's in the chat. I think it's all subscribers total. Shout out to Nick Dunn. Actually, I do think you can only subscribers are in the chat. Yo, shout out to Golden said no. No, waterfall, you're fired. Ah! I need to get a we need to get a sensor sound on the stream deck here. That'd be funny. Golden beep. Oh my God. Oh my God. Let's go, Golden. Come on, baby. No chat for you. Shout out to Golden, bro. Dude, it's just weird to think that that's like something someone can say. Hey, want a golden jet? No. Want a private jet? No. Jet? The fact that you could even like use a jet as a thing is the biggest. Breaks my brain. Breaks my brain. Golden, I need to meet you in real life, bro. I really need to meet you in real life. Let's go singing, Frankie? Like Christmas caroling? You don't want to hear me sing. I wish I could sing, low-key. It'd be fire. Right? Or some kind of musical talent. That's something I don't have. I have no musical talent. Can't play an instrument, can't sing, can't do anything. First time here, let's go. Shout out to Coast. I can't see that full name. Shout out to Coast. Welcome in, brother. Welcome to the CandleMafia. If you want to learn how to make money trading Bitcoin, whether the price goes up or down, you're in the right place. Jets are awesome. Yeah. Shout out to guys. Golden sends me like videos. I showed him one on the live stream here with him one time. He sends us videos on his. He's on like the nice jets, like the nice ones. He's not in some like little like 3-seater jet. There's like couches and like tables. It's crazy. It's insane. He said the coolest one he sent us was a video of him on a private jet with the Frankie Candles live stream on the TV. That's savage. Golden, dude. Golden seems like a fictional character. It's wild. Can't rap either. It definitely can't rap. If there's any super OGs in the chat. Golden, were you around in those days? I think it was probably like my 7th live stream ever. I lost a challenge, and I had to freestyle. It wasn't good. To my defense, I'm not saying it would be any better if I didn't have this, but I did have an echo in my headphones, which completely messes up your speech, let alone trying to stay on beat. But yeah, I don't have any kind of musical talent. It's very sad. Frankie plays the candle instead of the piano. Yeah, I can play the charts. I guess that's kind of an instrument, financial instruments. Was that a golden face reveal? No, he did not show his face in the video. Shout out to Crypto Billy said, I had dinner with him. He is real. Yeah, shout out to Crypto Billy. I have gotten on calls with him. We've video chatted before. He's definitely real, and he's definitely who he says he is, which is golden on a private jet. He's definitely not bluffing. It's definitely real, guys. Popping bottles in the ice like a blizzard on a G6, literally. Yo, shout out to Kosa. Yes, sir. Got Market Cypher B today. Locked in, loaded, and ready to learn. Let's go. Shout out to Kosa. Yo, check out the beginner series, bro. Tons of free value there, including Market Cypher B value. So definitely go check that out. He plays a good bing bong. That's dang right. Nobody has the bing bong like Frankie Candles. Golden is Baron Trump. Yo, Golden said he sent his stunt double to have dinner with Crypto Billy. Yeah, I don't know. Anything's possible with you, bro. It could be like a realistic humanoid robot, and I would believe you. But yeah, let me go ahead and there it is. Locally, guys, still got to break out of this local value area high, but these are the local levels, right? This is just local value area high. Got the bearish divergences into the 786. This is still the level of invalidation. If we could break above that and take out the highs into the liquidity, the next bigger target, right? This is local. Bigger target still remains $70,000. We do need to break above the POC and hold. If we could hold above this point of control, doorway to the golden pocket around 69,300 into about 70,000 at the anchored VWAP, which I will mark off separately. Biggest key levels to look at. I would say the first one sits, I'm going to say 69.3 to 70K, right? Because it does come up a little bit more here. Let me just change this real quick. Golden Pocket 786 between 70,500 and 69.3. This is the next major target. If we can hold above the point of control of the range here, this is the next major target. Very simple. This is my biggest area of interest to the upside. Other than that, I think I stopped. Oh, no. I may have not stopped that. Yeah, I don't think I stopped that on my short here. Dang. Think I'm at 369. I may be stopped out. But at the end of the day, guys, just to keep it nice and simple, we're fighting to get above that POC. If we hold it, next target, sitting up here. If we lose it, I will just be looking at the local range, which will simply be get accepted below the high, down to the PLC, lose the PLC, go to the low. This local range sits between value area low 66,500 and 66,550. PLC sits at 67,369. Value area high 68,000. This is the local range. I'll be trading. If I stop out of the short, if I'm not already stopped out, I'll look for the bigger move up. Long will continue to play out. And overall, super choppy situation. But we'll see if that 2-hour money flow can cross over and give us the bigger move. Whoops. Come on. So we'll see. That's my long. Right? I could show it here for a second. Bada boom. Up 2,400 now. So we'll see, right? Simple volume profile theory. If you're not into scalping those local levels, you could just simply look at this very, very clean value area low. As long as we stay in here. PLC is next. We've already tapped it. Flip the POC. We can eventually look for traditionally the value area high, but of course I am interested in this local resistance for the very specific reason of a potential high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high for another lower low. All right. So, if we did not have this confluence here, I would simply just be viewing this and holding this long. First target already hit at the POC, just simply looking for that to go up to the value area high, but you do have to keep an eye on your golden pocket. 786 anchored VWAP, right? So these are the levels. Mark them off on your chart. And we'll see. Money flow just a total chop fest right now. I'm not putting a super big amount of weight on Market Cipher right now. I'm just going to kind of let this play around. This is eventually going to give us the bigger breakup, which locally I do prefer to have the long continue to play out into the bigger level. And then, we'll have to wait to see if we get the bigger breakdown of this range. This range could go on for a long time, but hopefully we could see it break sooner than later. So we'll have some new stuff to talk about on the live stream. So we don't have to cover the exact same levels every single day. We're going to have to start looking at the 1 second price action here to get a little bit more excitement. Yo, shout out to Free Coaster. Said, I have a theory that Golden is lurking in chat to see our trading plans and then move the price and grab us as liquidity. Shout out to Free Coaster. He probably has the capability in the capital, if I had to guess. That'd be pretty diabolical if I did that. I feel like there's supposed to be eye emojis on the end of that chat, Golden. Shout out to Golden. But no, I think he's like Golden's like a friendly market maker. I think if anything, he tries to move the market in our favor. Right, Golden? Right? Right? I hope so. But anyway, yeah, we're going to have to do the 1 minute auction voice here. I don't know why I kept getting notifications that my plan was over, but clearly it's not because I'm on the 1 second chart here. Yeah, we're going to have to start looking at this chart, guys. When Frankie Candles bring us up to 1 second, it's rough out there. Massive rejection from the 786. Oh, my God. Coming on down, making our way to the PLC. $67,892. Can we get it? Can we get it? Pull up Market Cipher B. Money flow coming into the green on the 5 second time frame. Looking for the continuation of the trend to the upside. I can't even do it, guys. I'm like exhausted. The boring price action has got me completely exhausted. This hour's supposed to pump. You all are screaming, but not pumping. Need to go to 45K first, then have good pumps without screaming every day. Be wise. Don't go against Mother Nature. Shout out to Lord. I don't know if I understand what that meant, but shout out to Lord. One of these days I'll get a golden membership. Shout out to Rio. We're rooting for you, brother. We're rooting for you. Wait, hang on. Okay. I think Mrs. Candles is here. Let's try to call her again. Let's see if she hits the FU button. Oh, my sister called me. Hello, Mrs. Candles. You sound annoyed. Are you kidding me? Lucy pooped in her cage. I don't know. Would you be against Lucy going on a private jet? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. What happens if she poops on a jet? I don't know. Probably like $50,000 to clean it, I would think. But if you could you bring her up here, or is the poop everywhere? Oh, okay. She's a poopy girl. She's covered in poop. Okay. Oh God, that's probably not good for Bitcoin's price. Okay. All right. See you later. All right. Well, looks like Lucy pooped in her cage, and she has poop all over her. So Lucy's calling in sick today. Look at the continuation of the uptrend here on the 5-second time frame. Money flow never lies here, guys. Low, high, higher, low, higher, high. Absolutely beautiful. Anytime you see that money flow crossover on the 5-second, just go ahead and long that. Not financial advice. Shout out to Colton. Thank you for the super chat, brother. He said, you saw what I did with the Golden Swan last year. I sent you pictures right when I started to kick it off. Yeah, shout out to Golden, bro. I swear, dude, if anybody ever told me, like, hey, I'm going to do this, watch the price, I'd be like, yeah, okay. It happened. It happened, which, like, is insane. It is insane. I don't want to be too specific with the Golden Swan event there, but, yeah, maybe Golden can move the price. I'm just going to say that. But anyway, I'm going to go help Mrs. Candles bathe Lucy here, guys. But just scroll back a few minutes to see those key levels. We're fighting at that POC. If we can hold it, 70, 65, 69, 3 to 70K incoming. If we lose it, could be headed back down towards the low at 66K. If we end up losing that, right, can't hold below the low, well, you guys know the story there. Scrub back to the beginning of the stream if you're looking for the in-depth plans there. But with all that being said, I think I can smell Lucy. So I'm going to jump out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Smash that like button on your way out if you appreciate the free content. Show Golden some love for showing support to the Candle Mafia and your boy Frankie Candle. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Shout out to Darren Dusling. Shout out to Tony D. Shout out to Golden. Shout out to Crypto Lucid, Rio Grande, Jesse. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to